announcements.
All right, and we are live. Everyone, welcome.
Perfectly timed notification. Hello. Let me get up on my mic a little.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we did not have anything pre-stream. We're just chilling.
Yeah. I was running around a little bit before the start started, which why everything was a little pushed back, I guess I should say.
It was a little tight, but we were on time.
Yeah.
Probably could have scheduled a little earlier, but it took me a while to get the thumbnail because that just has to do with my sleep schedule once again being slightly bunkled. One, because I play Tears of the Kingdom late at night, but also, hey, you guys know that recap that came out? That was exporting until like 5 a.m. So because it was 5 hours long. Anyway, yeah. So we're here though, and we got a decent big boy show for you today. Ooh, Lucky's gonna start with a house tour.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've actually shown off my full house, have I?
I don't think on stream. I think you may have showed it, but I think it was smaller.
Yeah, no, I've actually used all 15. I've used all 15 blocks.
Yeah, I'm at like 12 or 13, I think, right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
And that's accounting for like I have the like garden and the stable, which honestly I will probably store at some point because they're cute, but serve the garden especially serves no practical purpose.
No, they don't. But like, here's my entrance. We go into an unfurnished square room. We have a goddess statue to our left, and the stairs leading up. Stairs leading up doesn't leave anything to necessarily fancy, just my showroom where I like to store weapons that I don't necessarily want to break immediately. For example, a couple royal shields, a mighty Zonite shield. Those are Zonite bows. I know they're not the best bows, but I like them because they actually, charge from your battery, and I think that's sick.
It's pretty cool.
The Dusk Bow, which you can get by climbing all the way to the top of Hyrule Castle at Spire. It's in like one of the little crenellations there. Then of course we got the Fierce Deity Sword. Actually, what do they call this one? Like the White Sword of the Sky or something? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the goddess sword basically.
Yeah. And then we just got a Mighty Zonite sword with a Zonite Mighty Zonite thing. The Zonite weapons are actually, I think, are my favorite right now, just because they boost. You can get a boost on them, so you can get some pretty nice numbers on them.
Yeah, they scale up. Also, Axe, there you go. Lucky answered your question. Use certain hammerheads with one-handed weapons like swords. It'll actually go in the right order. Some of them still look awkward because I don't know how Nintendo decided to place some of these, but for the most part, it'll automatically sort itself out. I do think that the if you try to put it on like a mighty stick, like he's got a gnarled wooden stick pulled up, they're not selected right now. You need to use the right item on it. Wooden, sturdy wooden sticks like that will have the extra quality of like call it extra durable.
He's talking about the additional qualities, like how it has double durability up. You get these from feeding your weapons to rocks on by Death Mountain. It will repair your weapon and give them a quality.
Yes, yeah. Those qualities, yeah, you can randomly roll them from Rock Octoroks, or occasionally weapons you find in chests or receive from spooky sword holding ghostmen in the depths will have extra qualities as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting that there's basically like two effects. There's the little icon effect, and then there's the inherent effect of like that weapon. Like royal weapons always have extra flurry damage. Sticks have like extra durable or sturdy branches.
Yeah. And like Zonite weapons always resonate
Zonite
with
powered,
with Zonite gear, so yeah. Look at this soldiers. This is scaly. I like it.
Yeah. Garuda weapons have Mighty Fusion. Zoro weapons have their Water Warrior effect, where they double in power if you're wet.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure you can super abuse. The Master Sword is a quality that says, refurbished Sword of Legend. I don't actually know what that do.
Alright, where's the damn thing I'm actually saying?
I am pretty sure I have figured out in what circumstances your Master Sword will not run out of energy. Which so far seems to be exactly Phantom Ganon fights. And if anybody in chat hasn't found a Phantom Ganon, I'll leave you to speculate on that one. Well, yeah, but you can stick diamonds and stuff in it or whatever you want.
How do I turn off my sensor? I forget.
You gotta do it from your map screen.
There we go.
Yeah, map sensor. Off or base sensor.
Yeah, but so this is my little storage and trophy room. Then we head back. I got a little wonky with this because I was trying to, you know, put fucking actual walls in here.
Mhm.
But then we go into the furnace space, which I have a gallery over here. I have not decided a picture I put on over here. A kitchen for cooking. This is actually my original intention on how I was going to make me some meals and stuff. But then I got clever and I used a foyer to separate into a double bedroom. This is Link's bed over here. And then this is going to be Zelda's bed over here because she has an attached study. No, this is one of the reasons why I'm like, I need like 5 more rooms because I need to do more shit in here, but they're just like, nah.
Yeah, there's a handful of rooms, but there's good use. In my own weapon gallery, I have the Sky Sword, and also I found a they call it Dusk Blade or Dusk Claymore. It's the giant light swords from Twilight Princess that failed to kill Ganondorf. That's a specific side quest reward, and there's loads of those out there. I've been trying to occasionally remember to check in caves, get special outfits. Found the Ember headpiece recently, for instance.
Yeah, I'm drowning in fucking shit. And I'm selling shit. I'm still drowning in pieces.
Yeah, that's I love, but also hate how this game, like we said, is like triple everything. You know, like with the combination of fusion and materials, there's like 3 times as many weapons easily. Plus, they did actually, you know, add new base weapons. Right there are you know, Demon King weapons. There are the Zonite weapons to kind of replace some of the ancient weapons, but you can still find some ancient weapons in a few places as well. So like, yeah, there's a lot of more stuff even without fusion. There's a load more armor, and oh, you have managed to fully upgrade your tunic.
Oh yeah, no. I went and did the deco tree thing like you told me to.
Yeah.
And then I just realized, wait a minute, this is just gonna follow the light dragon around everywhere. I'll just use that to just farm. And yeah, fully upgraded. That and those 2 is my usual sense. So I'm running around with 72 defense. Most things only slap me for like a quarter health. It's great.
Damn. Then I fuckled myself. Because I got that automatically completed because it's very weird. I talked about this with Lucky off camera. Considering that it is kind of a weird pain to get into the Korok Forest and speak to the Deku Tree, I feel like they want you to do that early because that sets up some stuff for like future side quests and, you know, plays a memory that you would have already seen if you did all the other stuff. But for me, because I'd already acquired the Master Sword, that looped around again. And so I did not get free Light Dragon tracking, which is a shame because I have my sensor set to Light Dragon, but have not got a ping in like 2 days.
Yeah, you can actually. I'm hung out on her back for a long time. Actually, let me see if I can. Oh yeah, okay, this is a little bit.
Yeah, you can do some repeatable stuff. It's a lot. They're Skyborn shorter, and they do actually underground loop, which is very interesting. But the 3 elemental dragons are a little bit easier to plan for because they always like emerge in a certain area in morning. I have not yet cottoned on to if the light dragon, especially after you've, you know, done some of the side quest stuff, starts their day in a particular area.
I don't know about that. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to turn on my damn lasers here, but they're not showing, and I'm a little weird. Where are my Where's my? Hero's Path mode,
Well,
X.
are you zoomed out too far?
No. Let me go all the way out. Let me go back in now. Okay, there we go. So fun fact, I spent a lot of time on the Light Dragon's back, and it does track the part. Like it goes. This line right here is me riding the Light Dragon. And I'm pretty sure, like, going by this, I'm pretty sure it goes and then kind of like waves up and down and then goes back like up like
yeah,
here.
it's roughly circular. The question is just finding the right space.
Yeah.
I guess I just wait on the big sky islands.
Yeah. But yeah, so
I said, I've been trying because I've got, you know, both copies of the champion tunic. You can get the original flavor and with pauldron.
Oh, sick. I didn't know that.
And both of those require light dragon scale. So I'm like, okay, I need to catch a light dragon, but also this is not. You'd think going in a regular pattern it would be easy. It's not as easy as you think.
Yeah, no. So like, yeah. No. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, because I actually found this really neat. I wish they actually had more stuff like that. Like, as I check the map, this bit right here will just move to wherever she is on the map, and I'm just like, oh,
yes,
because
really got the.
Yep.
Sorry. Oh, legendary. Okay, stop reiterating it, Jesus. Unless you're gonna like teleport me to her with a hack, stop. Listen. I get it. I gotta like hang out somewhere. I don't. What are you getting by reiterating to me about how much looping she does? I get it. She loops. I need to go there. Lucky still has the quest notification, so it's very easy. I had already gotten that right away, so.
Yeah, this is why I'm actually trying not to like jump ahead and like just do anything. That's why I was trying to go in the order, because I'm trying to see what unlocks and where.
Yeah, obviously the ordering of this game is really weird. Like I said, I feel like the Deku, even though there's no lead to that, the Deku tree wants you to get that started earlier, and I can kind of understand the logic, because obviously if you've played Breath of the Wild, you know, oh, that's where the Master Sword goes. But also like, it's you got to work at it. I mean, I don't, you know, obviously we're 2 weeks into the game, so if you're playing new and you don't want like exploration type spoilers, you should, you know, block your ears out for however long we're talking about this. But to actually get in there, you know, you got to come at it from below, because there's no way to actually, at least until you do that, there's no way to solve the Lost Woods part the old-fashioned way. Trust me, I've fucked around a little with that. But because of the way the depths are designed and everything is mirrored, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You have to get in a very specific way. This is the thing I'm dealing with right now, because I'm pursuing the kind of long-running depth side quest that starts the chain after you get auto build. That basically leads you around to all the different mines and major areas under the depths, while also working towards plot stuff that I'm like, I wonder if this will be relevant later. And of course, 5 people will jump out of the woodwork to be like, it's not relevant later. I'm like, yeah, well, you fucking play your game. It still gets me around to exploring, and I don't actually know, because I'm not done with the game. I don't actually know what matters in the end. But it's still like a regular sequence to do, but that, like, right now I'm on the Hebra section of that, where the waypoint is at the depths version of the Rito village, which is also in the middle of a lake. So you have to come at everything from like a very specific angle, and I don't know. That's kind of the thing that, like, it's really neat, but it frustrates me a little bit about the depths. Where, like, I get what they're going for, but also it's...
Oh, I forgot to pull out a control stick.
Because of how dark it is, it's kind of annoying to, like, have to take specific routes while you can bumble around in the dark. And you can obviously set your map one level higher. If you didn't know that, wherever your map is set, it stays on your mini-map, so there's a cute tip. Like, it's, again, it's a cute detail, but also it's like, damn, I get what we're going for, but man, bumbling around in the literal dark is like a choice for a game interface, right?
I don't know, like, I mean, bumbling around in insurance, but that's the thing. Like this is why I'm trying to mention, like, I'm trying not to go necessarily out of order, because we mentioned the Korok thing not being mentioned. Like, I finished all 5 dungeons and I went to Hyrule Castle and, you know, found out what was up with Princess Zelda. And then now they're like, oh, wait a minute, there was a 5th fucking stage, you gotta go find them.
Ah, see, I'm like, I'm waiting for that to come around.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well, now that I safely know I can go to Hyrule Castle, maybe I'll scratch that one off my list. But I'm like I said, I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's a lot.
And so that's why I'm like, yes, this game does say you can go do this in, like, basically any order, but the game also has an order that you can do things. And this, like, I'm wondering, like, after I get done with the spirit, like, after I get done finding, like, the spirit stage, will they tell me to go to Korok Forest and stuff, and will they maybe give me a hint there for the Master Sword and stuff? So I'm like,
yeah, I don't
know, but that's one, like, people have.
I mean, Breath of the Wild had this problem too, kind of, where they were basically like 3 plots, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Technically 4, because you could literally go straight to Hyrule Castle and punch Calamity Ganon in the face. Don't do that. But you know, your first line is, once you get to Impa, she lets you know, like, you've lost your memories. Sucks. Anyway, go to these 12 spots. You can get the stuff. But also I'm trying to remember who does it. I think it's also Impa, lets you know that the divine beasts were lost in the calamity.
I believe so.
So, like, she also lets you know that, like, if you want to make your time easier, you should probably go deal with those. But also, you know, through the act of your memories and speaking to Impa, you are also aware, like, hey, you probably need to find your legendary sword somewhere. Where did it go? You know? So, like, Tears is very similar, but also it's so weird about stuff. Like you said, you know, there's so much shit you can do, but also there's shit you can clearly not do. Like, I still have not, and I say everything now, I speak of this game very trepidatiously, because even though I know people who are way further behind in story content, some people will just have done side objectives and will just blurt them out. I still haven't clocked exactly what's going on with the Pharaon thunderstorm thing.
Oh, me neither. I see it. I'm like,
I'm like, is this a main story thing or is this optional? I guess I can, if people know if it's optional or if it's main story, let me know. Because if it's like a literal side objective, that means I can figure it out on my own and probably just got to go get fucking thunder nuked a couple of times. But if it's a story thing, which it might be, that's like probably need to clear some stuff out. And there's things that seem like interesting locales that could be plot important, but were not when I got there. Like, I found, for instance, there is a area called the Zonite Forge, and I'm like, this seems neat. Wasn't really anything here other than a shrine. Seems cool. I found what was called the Construct Factory. Oh, this seems like it's important. Anyway, nothing's reacting here, so I'll come back later. Or I won't. I don't know. Like, it's a really interesting game design, and I think, like, and I know that Nintendo has said that they're like, okay, so somebody said that they heard from somebody else that the story eventually points you there. So okay, makes sense.
Oh, I wonder if that's
I mean, I have some thoughts and ideas about where that may end up going. In that case, there's lots of thoughts and things about this game. I also feel like the game plot wise, like, if you're not really paying attention to the plot, the game softballs some stuff. Because I think you already figured out something based on memories, but also the general direction the temples were going. But like that if you do like any iota of those quests and the stable quests and stuff becomes very obvious. So then the game's like, oh look, hey look, we see that image of Princess Zelda in Hyrule Castle. And I'm just like, yeah, huh? Okay. Yeah, that'll solve this. Climbing into that hole. Keep in mind that I've already crawled all over the place in there. Well, yeah, that's another thing. There are a lot of interesting landmarks that have lots of interesting armor, because they decided to reuse all the like amiibo DLC clothes that you could get. They put in the main game now, which just means more clutter.
I mean, this is why I do appreciate CC and the ability to sell armor, and like certain like the bargainer statues will let you get the DLC armor again.
Yeah,
using a completely separate currency too, which, you know, I think is pretty nice.
Yeah, other than you can buy like dark clumps and bombs from the Poe man, I don't really know if you need anything out of him besides just rebuying armor sets and buying the gloom armor the first time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got 2 pieces of that. Where am I going? Oh, yeah.
And if you don't have the hat, Midness hat counts as gloom resistant.
Oh, really? Oh, fuck
Yeah.
that hat then. Oh,
Yeah,
wait a
Midness helmet
minute.
gives you gloom resistance. It's also like better default defense than the gloom hat is. But yeah, no, there's a lot of interesting stuff in here, and it's kind of all over the place, and it's really weird.
Actually, this looks pretty sick, actually. I was actually wondering if it
You've
would
collected a lot of Sage's Will. That's weird. I only have like 2.
What's up?
Axe is asking about Sage's Will. You can spend those at goddess statues later when you get further in the story.
Yeah, I found 4 total.
Yeah, I'm at like 2 or 3.
Hey, who dat? Oh, that's Zelda. Let's see here.
What are those? Those ears. Is that Nadra?
No, I'm pretty sure that's the Divine Dragon.
It might be the Light Dragon. It's a little hard to tell. They all have
Yeah, Light
distinctive
Dragon.
silhouettes, but okay, yeah. You got closer, you can see. All right.
Didn't mean to take a picture.
I mean, I don't want to say it's very interesting how
No, my
milestones
chest!
shake out. Like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those guys are important to kill.
Well, I need them to upgrade my glide armor.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's important to get those Aracudas. I mean, just if you're already jumping up sky towers, that's usually it. I will give anybody who understands what the challenges you get the glide armor set from. Remember, you don't have to actually go to the top. If you find the bottom of that, the lovely construct who sets up those trials will teleport you to the top. So you actually don't have to get all the way to the top. You just have to find the bottom of those areas if you know what they are.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
Sage's Will is on Sky Islands. Obviously, you get light orbs from shrines, and I don't really think there's any other like equivalent progression stuff to worry about. But that kind of was a point we've been meandering through as people in chat are talking about stuff, and we're talking about different things we're doing. Progression in this game is weird. I have actually heard from a couple of people like seen on Twitter, not spoilers or anything, but them just being like, "Well, beat the game." It was kind of weird because I felt like I grinded for a lot higher level stuff because like the ambient open world demands a decent amount from you, you know?
Mhm.
Like if you're wearing low level armor and you're just clowning around and you accidentally run into a silver guy, yeah, I have currently 1 more heart than lucky. Though you have a full 3 stamina wheels, which I'm only on like 2.5. But you run into a silver guy and it doesn't matter if he's carrying a blunt stick. He'll shave off like half your hearts if you're not careful in one go.
Man, I was wearing my ninja armor and I got hit by a silver moblin.
Bokoblin? Moblin.
Moblin.
Big boy.
Big boy.
Tall boy.
Fucking just took out like 3/4 of my health. Just gone. I was
Yeah.
like, that's
No. This is what I was talking about when you asked me once, like, why you get into fights in your stealth armor? Like, sometimes it just happens. They get up on you. You gotta be careful.
This is the thing.
Have
I think,
awareness.
like, it's actually like you can just like in the middle of the thing jump out and like switch your armor and stuff, but I feel like that's a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes.
Yeah, to cycle back to a point I mentioned much earlier now, because we're kind of all over the place, with our thoughts, but I appreciate that this game is like 3 times as much as Breath of the Wild. I really wish we had 3 times as much the inventory screens, because inventory management and storage in this game is really out there, slightly tedious. We've been talking about like using your arrows on stuff, but also that inventory menu also is where all your Zonai devices go, even though that's a separate menu in your like start menu inventory, Which tower, by the way, did you jump to get up on this island?
Rabella.
I think I'll just stalk that one later.
Yeah, I think Rabella. Let me pull up the hero's path mode here. Yeah, Rabella should be good. This one over here, I can't actually pull it up. The one on Mount Lanru should be good.
Yeah.
Basically, any of the ones that are like around the edge, you should be able to hitch a ride from. None of the center ones, though.
Yeah. I could probably just go to Rebel and hop on those Skyines and just wait. Like I said, I got my sensor configured. I just haven't gotten a hit. But my current task has been futzing around.
Bye. Oh, I haven't done that shit. I'm going there.
My current task has been futzing around, and I got all 13 ancient Hyrulean sky slabs.
I think I got 2 of those.
Honestly, once you get started, it's not hard. They all have that exact same shape, and they're all visible
Gosh.
on the top menu. So you can just like, I literally just took my star stamp and was just like stamp, 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 stamp. After you translate them to the guy, they show an extra icon, so you know you've cleared that one.
Oh,
It's fairly easy to keep track of. So, but yeah, like I was just like, I want to try and get my whole story here. That does give you some more backfill for stuff, and like it's all, you know, there's so much interesting stuff in here, but there's so much of it, and it can be like overwhelming. It can be confusing about like what the game wants you to do next, or if the game wants you to do anything next, you know? Arguably there's like side quests which sound important and the game like harps on. Like, you do not know how many fucking people, while I was hitting all these towers, I'm seriously the audience. Lucky probably knows. But how many people I saw when I was just unlocking all the sky towers who were like, my poor home, Laurelin Village, invaded by pirates. Speaking of which, by the way, how the fuck do Bokoblins know how boats work? Anyway.
It's me.
Like, hey. Literally here. Lucky's right there. But like, these guys, like, you'll find the rest of the people from this village all over the place, just like, yeah, our village was attacked by pirates. I hope somebody does something. But in the grand scheme of the plot, liberating Laurelin Village isn't important at all. Obviously, it's important to me because I found my man Bolson there. But like, it's just it's so odd, like what the game telegraphs and what it doesn't. You know?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people who've been struggling with the Great Fairies because they're not nonlinear now. Like a couple of community members have like actually asked me like, "Hey, which Great Fairy is first or second?" Because you've done them all. Because I did. Ooh, good. Hold on. Audacity full blown giving me a not responding.
Uh-oh. I'm naked.
One of those. Okay, I'm gonna stop it for a sec because we're lagging a little.
Righto.
Lucky she'll face this trial. This one was a little complex.
Well,
I'm not really sure what the lesson is here.
Flow. So they're moving around on platforms. Wait a minute. Fuck you! Whoa! Stop that!
Okay, resuming audio. Dropped a little bit of there while we lagged out, but we're back. While I'm at this lull, hey, it's been 20 minutes. I still haven't done the patron read yet. Actually, 30 minutes. So, hey, really quick, while Lucky is battling those constructs, I'd like to remind you this episode is brought to you by our patrons. Like Adam Carplex, W. Carly Zed, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Flazy Iceberg, Jeremy Vasquez, JD Vita, 1000, Just the Fae, John Sandoval, Chris Starlight, Legendary Bullet Center, Lee Kessler, Region Raptor, Rogue Robin, Trevor, Shumpire, Some Getting Bob, and Varian the Crow. Thank you very much for your support and allowing us to continue yelling about Tears of the Kingdom. I hope you like this kind of news cycle about Final Fantasy 16 as well. You don't have to invest in 2 stamina rings, but that is a check for a thing. And also, having 2 stamina rings is just really good. Lucky's having fun.
Listen, they're trying to... I'm just taking them out by moving the platforms from underneath them.
Yeah, I went for the slightly tougher but more involved strategy of just ascending up through their platforms and kicking them off the boat. Wiggling them out from is very funny. There's one guy in the center plate you can't do that to, but you probably just bully him.
No, I just
But
got-
yes, no. Stamina is very important. That said, like I said, if you're not wearing really good armor, which you will not be for a while because it is actually like all of your best defensive armor does have a little bit of a grind, like the Hylian set. Oh, there's loads of statues. You just got to go to settlements. The easiest one is just always return to Lookout Point. There's one in the basement. But there's also one right in the center of, literally right in the center of Kakariko Village. I think the Garuda one's a little hidden. Also, you have to getting to Garuda Town's a pain in the ass.
I believe like
If you've
every
got
major-
Naruto Village, that goddess statue's right at the base. You know, they're there. You gotta know where you're looking, but they're there. If you complete Terrytown and can build your own house, you can put your own goddess statue in your house.
That's the one I usually go to because
Yeah.
I forgot to actually cook food.
Oh, you did. That's the thing you said. You were busy talking about stuff.
Yeah.
That's okay. I forget to cook food sometimes. I had to. I decided to do a soft reset against a Frox underground because he was kicking my ass, and I'm like, shit, I don't have enough just straight up healing items for this. Luckily, he like. I don't know if the game realized what I was doing, but when I loaded back in, he wasn't in the exact same spot, so
Son of a bitch.
slightly nice to me. But yeah,
Oh, I have no bow. I must have therefore.
yeah, you got to pick up one from the guys. There wasn't one in the rack. But yeah, the general progression of the game is very interesting. Hearts are important because lots of enemies will bully your ass, and getting armor up can be tough. Like, I'm not sure which one I'll actually get like all the way upgrade skis first, but I'm guessing I'm probably going to be wrapping up the game in something resembling wrapping up my my soldier set or my Hylian set. Hylian requires a lot of amber. Unfortunately, your soldier set requires increasingly higher level boss guts. I'd love to get my Royal Guard set up, but I feel like that is something I should have apparently been stockpiling earlier because it requires a lot of boss bokoblin horns to raise, and unfortunately, there's only a couple of guaranteed spawns of those the low level guys, and you need 3 per armor piece. So
3.
that's
I
just
might just
slow
sell
going every
that,
blood
fuck.
moon. I
Like,
mean,
I
I
don't know
really
if-
like the look though.
Yeah, but I got my champion leather, and I mean that's my aesthetic.
That's true. You also managed to figure out how to get that one fairly easily leveled.
Yeah.
I may end up using that one. My main problem is like the pants and hat to go with that. I do like CC lets you take your hood down though.
Yeah, no, like that's why, like, well, I don't got any armor, but that's why, like, it's Hylian pants, my Hylian hood, and which gives me my old ponytail and my champion leathers. I'm like, perf. That's what I needed. All right. You're not looking? You're not looking? All right, cool.
But yeah, you can get in the grind. So like hearts are important. I know some people are a little lighter on hearts, but I think it's just really easy with the way damage scaling works to get your ass blasted. Like I think actually you said you only got 12 defense. Yeah, that's like each piece of the soldier set gives you 12 defense at like level 2. You know, Hylian is like each piece is like 12 defense at level 3. I think the Royal Guard armor scales better. Like it starts at 4, the second level is 10. But that one obviously is like a little bit of a pain in the butt to get. So there's a wide variety you can pick from, but it's hard to organize. You can't. It's really cool they give you the racks. I would love, if you do the shelter, that's how you get the soldier set. I have not gone all the way in the hole because that sounds like a danger point, and might contain the final boss. I'm not sure yet.
I don't know.
That's why I'm like I don't go into the hole straight under the castle. But yes, if you figure out the special emergency escape tunnel, it's pretty good. Yeah, Stallnox can be a little rough when you're starting, but it's okay. You'll get them eventually. I just ran into a random Stallnox on Death Mountain, and I was just like, oh, you're an easy little baby.
Yeah, no, like right now. Oh, there was a spike ball up here. Actually, did I not throw my? Oh, I don't got it anymore. Never mind. Oh wait, hang on. Still one of my favorite things to do.
He's going
Throwing
right
spear
now. I
plus
guess
bomb
he's-
barrel. It never gets old. Does anyone know how many shrines are total? Is that 100?
152.
150. Okay, I'm gone. I'm not even been 2/3
I
of the way
believe.
there. Jesus. Okay.
Also, I'm resuming the recording again. Sorry about the dropped audio. I don't know why
Ooh.
my CPU is being slowed today. It's a good Reaper.
Yeah, no, it's a mighty plus a Captain 5, which is I think the best you can get for the Zonite.
Very solid. But yeah, like I said, I randomly ran into a Stalinox on Death Mountain. I was just like, oh hey, give me your head, and it was not that hard. Honestly, after a certain point, some low-level world bosses don't give you as much of a stee as like random silver mooks.
Random
It do be
silver
weird
mooks
like
are
that
just
sometimes.
chunky.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That I know we're kind of all over the place, but to loop back and another thing I was mentioning, because Lucky's literally playing the game, so we all kinds of new stuff is coming up all the time. There's all this expanded stuff, and it's very hard to organize. And I really wish they just gave us like storage bins in our house, right? Like I'd love a closet I could stick my excess armor to instead of selling it and rebuying it for 4K rupees. Or like display racks are cool, but I'd love a place to just indefinitely store swords that stays. But it's so interesting how like everything is a resource in this game. Everything kind of works away, and it's neat, but it's really interesting to me how like I feel like it's a conscious design choice, right? To follow in the footsteps of Breath of the Wild, and everything is a resource implementation. The only upgrades to Link that are permanent normally are stamina wheels, hearts. You can see Lucky's Ghost Posse, so those are all those are turn offable, but those are all permanent upgrades you can
I'm
enable.
hiding in the fucking grass, and you still see me. All right, well, fuck everything, I guess. Actually, no. Let's go big damage. I keep the Fierce Deity set because Angry Link is best Link.
The damage.
Catch! Oh.
Just keep a couple presents for a special occasion. A little early.
Yeah,
but yeah, like, there's everything costs resources, so even the I've been lamenting it off and on. Even the Master Sword in this game doesn't appear to have any circumstance where it stays truly permanent. Legendary earlier was talking about how he still got it to lose charge against Phantom Ganon, so I don't know if it just because it's higher damage in that case it doesn't lose charge. But it's like, boy, I really hope I don't get to the final boss and my Master Sword runs out of energy, because that would be stupid. Nintendo, that would be dumb and make no sense. But we'll see, I guess. I think the Hylian shield is supposed to be pretty indestructible.
Is it?
I feel like it's really high.
Oh, what's this?
Though obviously you can get slightly stolen.
Fishing harpoon.
Oh shit, I didn't even realize those were actual things you could pick up. I just stole the fish and left. But yeah, like the only indefinite upgrades to Link are when you can afford armor upgrades. Though obviously those can require a lot of mats, which can require a lot of grinding out stuff. Running the same loops and over again.
Oh, there's a silver over there.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, Axe. Speaking of that, like that would be cool if it just like whenever you encountered, because they have a trigger for it to glow when you're fighting gloom stuff, but I don't know if I genuinely, I guess they must have, because that's how rock Octoroks work, but I don't know what the code base is, right, for like just recovering the durability on your weapons, right? Like, I'm sure durability is a set value that like goes down per hit or whatever, but I don't know how this engine is coded for that to like reset. Because you can also get like random upgrades out of the Octorok thing. So I don't know, like code wise, does that replace your old weapon with a new one, or does it actually just, modify the stats of what you got? It's a lot of unknowns under the hood. It will be interesting to see the modding scene for this game, later to see if people have any ideas about this. I know obviously there are some people who just turn durability variables off. But then you end up with like infinite weapons that you can never get rid of. So it's a weird one. But like armor is cool, but then you have to constantly switch outfits, and it's so interesting to me, like what they did with the Sage powers in this one, and obviously with the Sage powers originally. And also, I won't say what, but hey, Lucky, did you have final pieces of the Yiga armor?
The what armor?
The Yiga armor set?
No, not yet.
Okay. You can probably find the map to it and get your third piece, but that ties into a side quest because it's not in the canyon north of Gerudo Desert that was their old hideout. That's an area you can only access by getting all the Yiga armor and pretending. That actually has a really cool side quest in it that gives Link a permanent upgrade. I will not spoil it because it's fucking awesome.
Oh.
But it also makes me so mad because I'm like, wait, Nintendo, you have the power to code like unique, arguable permanent upgrades?
Oh, it must be.
Why is the entire game like this?
Is it the EW technique?
Yes.
I don't
you
know
can
what
learn
that does,
that.
but I have heard of it.
Yes. It's like, I'm like, why, Nintendo? You're making me so mad. Why isn't the whole game like this? Like, why do I need to, drink glow potions or wear my miner set? Why can't I just find a lantern and hang it on my belt, You need the whole outfit to get in. There's a guy on the door who will stop you. But if you've got all three pieces, you can put them on and pretend to be the
Will someone
unicorn.
tell me where the final piece is? Because I got the mask. I need the pants still.
I don't know. Is it in order? Let's see. You did Akla, Tech Lab, and the Great Plateau, right?
Yeah.
Then I think the last piece will be. I had to make sure my memories. It'll be immediately west of the Lost Woods, kind of hidden in the hills there on that coastline. You will start seeing frog statues that will lead you in the right direction to that hideout.
All right. So somewhere in here. Okay.
Yeah, in that area.
Is there just a
farther,
little bit of gloom right there?
Yeah, there's a little hole there. There's a little gap.
That looks like a house.
There's a couple of hidden juice points in there. I think if you can see it on the map, it's probably a chasm, but I'm not sure. But yeah, no, there's lots of weird little things in this game, right? And like I said, it bothers me a little about like why we can't have nice things, as it were. And I do think that Nintendo has said that open world style Zeldas are probably here to stay, and I'm like, that's okay. I do kind of like the ability to explore anywhere, do anything. I just really hope that when they, like I said, design their next Zelda game in 2029 for the Switch 2.5 XD edition, if we can go back to just some normal linear character progression, like I'm trying to think of the best way to articulate this. Like, I don't hate Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Like, obviously, I'm putting a lot of hours into the game, and writing is so interesting, and a lot of what they do with the world building and the environments is really cool. For the most part, I really like what they've done with all the dungeons. I don't care about the levels being linear. I mean, arguably, actually, no, temples are non-linear. You can technically do those in any order. It's just usually it's easier to do.
That gives me a different problem, I'll say, with doing them in any order. After the second time I beat the dungeon, I just skipped all the cutscenes at the end. I'm just like, I'm done. They're gonna tell me the exact same shit.
Oh yeah, that part is. I mean, I still think there's some because I did end up doing and watching them all. There is some interesting things to be said there about like what, like character-wise, what's going on there. But yeah, it's kind of redundant and doesn't make any attempts to not make it redundant. But no, what I was gonna say was the actual like accomplishing the temples themselves, like undoing all the locks to fight the boss. Those are all technically non-linear. They're usually have an order that's easier to do, but it's open-ended. I mean more like linear upgrades to Link besides hearts and stamina. Like, yes, technically each dungeon, each temple you do in this game gets you a sage buddy to do a thing. But those are honestly fairly limited. Like they're limited in time. They have some neat uses. Like technically, you don't ever need bombs to open up cracks in walls anymore once you've got the stage of fire. And Tulin's glide ability is very, very useful for extending your play. It's not as good as Rivali's Gale for sheer ups, but you know, it extends your gainitude, and Lightning's power is very strong. It requires arrows still and a little bit of setup, but it's strong. I just kind of wish that maybe those abilities were like tied to Link and not to my weird floating AI friends who have to figure out their own, pathfinding and shit from me and who disappear at a drop of a hat. If I like jump or touch a surface, they have to go away and come back. It's just a little awkward. It's not like bad. It's just sometimes it's like, man, I'd really like to touch my friend Sidon and get a water shield right now, but he's got a pathfinder clockwise around me.
Yeah, no, something I think they should have done is instead of having this a wheel, they should have put this as a line again, and then just have the sage abilities like underneath them, so you can just activate or toggle them on or off.
Yeah, the wheel is weird. Like, I've had so many weird flubs trying to like switch powers in the wheel. I think the actual Sheikah Slate like side menu was easier. Yes, that does technically mean you need like 4 clicks instead of 1 clicks to go from like square bombs to magnesis, but I also never like tried to tap my stick once in the right direction to get Ultra Hand and like accidentally entered the auto build menu in the middle of a fight before. I have occasionally done that. I also find it kind of annoying that, Amiibo and Camera are on that wheel for some reason. But yeah, no, there's like, I hope they don't get complacent with how like well reviewed this game is, because I genuinely don't think Nintendo was being complacent about their game design choices for Tears of the Kingdom. I think they were being frugal, I think is the right word. Like, they still had to use the same engine because of where Tears kind of had their starting point, right? Like, and obviously to make this work with all these new mechanics, they had to keep a lot of the same assets and just design new assets and stuff to go over what they had already. Using the same technique of the Mii Universe randomizer to like develop all their non-important NPCs. So like, it's
Bitch.
There are limitations they were under that I understand. He's Perry. But also I'm like, please don't get complacent with your next game. Like, actually get some real good iteration on this. Because like, I feel like with the way fights work is, you just saw Lucky beat up a bunch of guys. There are clever things you can do. Like, there's a lot of shenanigans you can do. Recall, if you're fighting certain enemies, the ascend ability is so funny. Obviously you've got your different arrow things you can use so you can get guys on fire. I love flashbanging a large group of enemies with Dazzle Fruit so they drop all their stuff and like clutch their eyes, Muddled Buds to like sow confusion and chaos is really interesting. I don't know. I will not speak for Lucky, but I still haven't killed the Gleeok because that one on the bridge fucking blasted my ass off that bridge.
No Gleeok yet, and I need it because I need to upgrade my Ember set.
Right, some of them horns. But yeah, like, you find an enemy. There are clever tricks you can do, and there are some what they've actually done with the way all the different weapons can work. Like, I want to say this. I think that Breath and Tears did do some really cool iteration on the Zelda formula. I mentioned this on our Discord, but I'll say it again out loud for people, listening. I actually really like what they did with cooking versus the way potions and the bottle economy always worked in the old Zeldas, right? Like, usually you were capped at like 4 potion bottles, and usually to get that 4th one, you had to bust your ass, right? Like, it very quickly got diminishing returns for bottles. Yeah, he's talking about clever solutions. I kind of wish that stuff like oil and pine cones was a little more spicy when you shot it in pre-existing fires. You can sometimes catch enemies in the blast, but usually it's just to cause updrafts, which is kind of like sag. But fighting usually is like, if you don't have any cool environmental stuff around and you don't have any neat weapons, like obviously just making boomerangs just a weapon with the throw mechanic, right? It's like, okay, that's pretty cool. The different things you can do with arrows. You can like stick Lizalfo's tails to make stretchy weapons to increase your reach, which is like neato.
Oh wait.
But also like your ability to actually like get in fights and do stuff as Link is fairly straightforward and even a little limited in the game. You know, your actual techniques are fairly straightforward. You have a charge attack, which depending on your weapon does stuff different. You know, if you've got one-handed, it's the regular spin. You do kind of like a cyclone attack if you've got a two-handed, and you do a shitload of spear attacks if it's spear, which is pretty neato. Actually, I don't even know if has Link ever really used a spear before breath. I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, so like that they added like a whole new fighting base for you on top of that. You can you know, parry / shield bash. I don't think it's as effective as some of the other games shield bash, but if you time it right for a perfect parry, that, you know, bounces projectiles back and gives enemies a little bit of a stun. Oh, yeah, the Eightfold Blade has a unique you know, the vacuum wave attack. And I guess technically that is repeatable. One of the other things you get if you access the Yiga Clan hideout is you can access Yiga Clan merchants, so you can just buy Eightfold Blades.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And shit. And buy Mighty Bananas from them. But, like, you just saw it right now, chat. Lucky did a perfect parry on that boss Bokoblin. There was very little window to actually get in there and start hitting him before he recovered. Like, it was mostly just because when you do a perfect block like that, a perfect parry, it doesn't damage your shield. Honestly, since there are no guardians in this game, I don't know how useful it is. Like, the perfect shield parry used to be your #1 way to style on guardians. And that was really cool and felt epic when you pulled it off. You can sneak strike, which is good. If you sneak up on an enemy who's not aware of you, you can blast them for a lot of extra damage.
This is why I like using the Sheikah blade. I can't remember. I use like the Eightfold Blade because it gives you a bonus on sneak strike.
Yeah, that's got bonus sneak strike. Yeah, it's pretty neato.
All right, there's a monster I missed. Where the fuck
and your main thing is Flurry Rush, which Flurry Rush, very cool. Sometimes is kind of. It's very interesting how this combat engine works. Like, I don't think I've seen Lucky have too much of a problem with this, but occasionally, like, the way enemy attacks work is this game, being fairly modern, has pretty tight hitboxing. So even if you execute the dodge button and, like, jump to the side, you can still get hit by some attacks because you accidentally path into the swing, or you did a jump back when they do, like, a vertical attack or something like that. There's a little bit of depth to that, but also because your options are just block or jump, it's a little limiting. I wouldn't mind some of, like, Link's old sword moves actually coming back into it to kind of, like, freshen stuff up, because for the most part it's just, you know, spam like your three hit combo. The game tells you that, and again, if you don't remember this tip, you know, here's a tip for you. The game tells you that hitting enemies when they're in the middle of moving is more likely to set them off balance. So if you hit enemies while they're attacking you or while they're scuttling around, that's more likely to stun them, which is very important. Because otherwise, enemies are unfucking flappable most of the time. It gets better when you've got more stamina bars, because I think if you can get it to charge up longer, you get more AoE. But yeah, getting the actual, like, great spin from, like, Wind Waker would be pretty cool. If you could do that upgrade. I wouldn't mind finishing blow, like actually being able to do a follow-up on enemies you've knocked down would be cool. Because you can kind of do jump strikes, but it's not the same. I know it's because I'm such a big simp for Twilight Princess. I miss Mortal Draw, though. Like, I would love if you executed a perfectly timed, like, draw your weapon on a guy you're locked on, if you could do the Mortal Draw again. It doesn't even have to be, like, an insta-kill. Just, like, give me a little bit of juice there for a bonus damage. You know? That'd be neato. Yeah, this is the last motherfucker in the well, I think.
Yeah, I saw smoke coming out. I was like, wait a minute.
He's just having a fish fry. But, like, yeah, there's opportunity, I think, to deepen this game's, like, combat elements, because like I said, everything in this game feels like it's focused around the resource loop. Like, fighting is just, do you have strong enough, tough enough weapons to get through enemies? Obviously, there's a little bit of work there. You can perfect dodge. Flurry Rush is pretty cool, but has its own, limitations. If you're in the air, you can slow down time on your bow and pull off some pretty sick shots. But there's just a little bit of wiggle room there, and I'd love for them to iterate and do some like I said, some proper just linear growth. Because you do get a little bit of that. Like I said, there will be early world bosses you run into fresh off the tutorial that you're like, oh fuck, that guy's tough. That took everything I had. Then you run into that guy later, and you're like, oh, that guy was nothing. But it's interesting, and like I said, I like this game, but it still makes me so frustrated sometimes. And then we'll keep playing. Like I said, I hope you're ready for all this in-depth coverage on Final Fantasy 16 when it comes out. Be yelling about that one for weeks, I'm sure. But that is probably a good time to, once again, we're talking for Tears for about an hour. Unless Lucky has anything pressing to get off his chest about Tears.
No,
he hasn't yet.
Expect me to just talk about it randomly though as we go out through the day.
Yeah, well, hey, you're playing. That's the vibe. That's what we're doing. Kind of scratched that off, but the other big thing that kind of happened this week, amongst some other Nell stuff, is PlayStation had their PlayStation Showcase this week. It was indeed over an hour, almost an hour and 15. Kind of like taking their E3 presser slot, I think, for the time being. And overall, I want to say this. I thought it was a perfectly okay showcase.
Yeah.
I don't think it was one of the showcases or state of plays that blew my mind. But honestly, looking at the release dates for a lot of this stuff, I don't think it was intended to blow my mind because for the most part, other than Final Fantasy 16, a game which is, I'm already hoping, I'm like, Square, please don't market this game to death. I like it. I've pre-ordered it. I'm ready to go. But be careful about hitting this too hard all the time. Square really likes their marketing budgets, though. They can get pretty crazy. But other than 16, I don't think Sony PlayStation has anything big zing coming out for the next couple of months. Armored Core is obviously big, and I know that Sony has had that relationship with FromSoft before, but that's not exclusive. That'll be on Steam and Xbox as well. Their next big thing is going to be Spider-Man 2, and that was arguably where the focus of the show was. That was the big closer at the end, right?
Big gameplay trailer.
Yeah, big gameplay footage and trailer and stuff, which is the second most watched individual thing that has come out of the showcase. The other one we'll talk about in due time when we get there. But that is probably their next game, and the first game came out in September several years ago. So my personal suspicion is that I think, especially because people are kind of getting on their case about the showcase, I think Sony might actually have the balls to run it in September and actually be head to head with Starfield. I think they might have the balls for that. And why wouldn't they? As much as people are oh, Jim Riot should resign, fucking Sony's doing fine. This was not that bad of a presser. The one statement I think I will agree with is I saw somebody say something to the effect of I know about as much about Sony first-party studios titles as I did before the presser. That, I think, could be a fair shot. A lot of the games we got more concrete information on are technically third-party, some of which aren't even exclusive. Very interesting to think about. But a lot of the new Sony PlayStation Studios stuff was very early concept trailers, Mm-hmm. But also, like I said, Sony Studios, first-party studios, don't actually have anything coming out. A lot of people are yo, where was Sucker Punch? Where's Ghost of Tsushima 2? I mean, I don't know what state of production that game is in. They haven't officially announced they're actually working on a sequel yet. We all understand that they're in development on a future Ghost of Tsushima title. They've said that's the direction they're working in, but that we have not formally announced Ghost of Tsushima 2, right? So I don't actually know what state that game's in. You know, with Horizon's DLC out, God of War Ragnarok out, and Last of Us, you know, Part 1 and on PC out, obviously that had its own flaws, probably because I don't know if Naughty Dog or PlayStation Studios knows anything about developing for PC. TBH. But, like, you know, they don't have any of their what have been their previous big tent poles on the horizon. What they want to do is try and expand into that multiplayer market because that's where their properties have really been hurting. And I think in the showcase they tried to lead up to that and generate a little hype. Obviously, I think that comes to mixed success because the audible gaming fan base, you know, the kind of people who post on Reddit and Twitter and shit, and the kind of people who have, you know, gaming focused YouTube channels running reactions, right? A lot of those people are like over live service games. We talk about how, you know, fucking annoying microtransactions are, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know, Overwatch 2 doesn't have PvE, Lamau, dead game kind of shit. But there is still a market for these games. You know, some of these games are super popular. I'm pretty sure Fortnite isn't going to miss, you know, paying their server bills, y'all. You know, we're kind of in a big fight about, you know, the future of Call of Duty and shit, right? Like there's some wiggle room there. Like, yeah, some of those have fucking flummoxed. Like Battlefield 2042 was kind of a dud. Veggie pole.
Can I make a meat one? Let's see, egg, butter, rock salt. Let's try that. Let's see if I can make a meat one. I like meat in my omelets.
Meaty omelet. But yeah, like, so I think like the people who are vocal about it are a little jaded about multiplayer live service games. There's still a market for those, and like I said, Sony has not been cracking that market. So I think there's still room. So I'm basically just gonna like skip around in the actual presser with it muted to like, you know, talk about kind of stuff in the same order. Obviously, PlayStation's graphics package is fucking great every time. But let's see. The first thing they showed was Fair Games by Haven Studios. That's a recent acquisition for them, I think.
Oh, what happens if I put this in here? Sick, just a simple omelet. I love it. I'm gonna eat that right now.
I don't want to click and hold to enter a portal, Haven. I want to just fucking look at your website. Why? Sorry, I tried to like pull up their website to see like what they got their fucking stuff around, but they have a very fancy, over-designed website. But yeah, Haven is a first-party studio. Sony acquired them not too long ago. I think that's one of the founders was is it? Make sure I'm getting her name right. Yes, Jade Raymond, who used to work for Ubisoft to develop like Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs. Yeah, she was a major producer on like the first AC. Directed like Far Cry 4. But she moved on to the new studio Haven to do Fair Games. Oh, sorry, I just realized this title is really awful. It's Fair Game $S. Ugh. Probably could have workshopped that one a little better, yeah. But yeah, this seems to be like the first multiplayer thing that you know, Sony is leading with. It looks like a, you know, not quite a Payday because it looks like it's competitive with other heist teams, but it's a heist game, kind of high tech. You know, you got a lot of weird gadgets and stuff. Looks like you know, teams of 3 kind of competitions. And I'm like, okay. I mean, it's got an aesthetic, and if any of those like actual gadgetry is like represented in the final game, that could be interesting. But you know, it's what they wanted, right? To break into the multiplayer space. And honestly, like, it wasn't perfect. Like, you couldn't actually hack everything, but Watch Dogs did have some interesting like environmental disruption you could do, right?
Yeah.
The original one. you know, you could blow up water mains for smoke screens and shit. But like, I could see such a title being interesting. But yeah, so let's see. Jim Ryan showed up a little bit. We got a very unexpected trailer that I do not feel like, again, most of the gaming community is hyping up very much, but fucking Helldivers 2, baby.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I only played a little bit of the original Helldivers, but it was pretty fun, and it's a neato game. But yeah, that's technically a first-party game, I believe. I'm pretty sure they showed PlayStation Studios logo before that, so I'm pretty sure Sony owns the studio who makes that. They're doing a switch to third-person over-the-shoulder rather than top-down. Looks like they've got some real, juiced-up modeling tech and stuff. Everything's a lot more realistic looking. But it's coming to PS5 and PC. They made sure to explicitly say that, probably with crossplay. And this looks fucking rad. No, Helldivers is a cool game. If you want to fucking shoot alien bugs, it's apparently a good time for that, because I don't know why specifically this year, but Starship Troopers has been going through like a video gaming revolution. There's like an RTS that's very good, and there's an open beta for a first-person shooter, which looks really good. Some footage from some content creators emerged over the past couple of weeks, for instance, but also Helldivers 2, fucking we're gonna fight for Super Earth, introduce aliens to freedom and democracy and shit. Looks cool. Said to be coming later this year, so we'll see how that one shakes out. But that, I think, that's a good announcement. That's a good multiplayer game that's gonna be fun, because it's gonna be PvE for the most part. Me and Lucky can drag someone along to get eaten by horrible space bugs.
I'm just hoping I can drop supplies on my teammates still.
Oh, I bet you can. Actually, we need 2 Yahoos. I think it's 4-man teams. Then we finally got some footage for the EA Originals game. What is it? Immortals of Avernum or whatever. Listen, and I heard this, by the way, from some people who talked about they actually got some like behind closed doors demo gameplay. They talked about like gameplay looked neat, writing was still kind of eh. This Avernum game, like look-wise and writing-wise, like reeks of, oh shit, we need an original IP. Like
What?
it's got magic and stuff. Oh, well, hold on, what you got?
There's this random ass tree. I'm like, oh, I need logs, and I saw the mighty fucking banana there, and I'm like, that's a fucking trap. So I'm just gonna get the log from the tree, and I hit the tree, and it was the fucking Yiga.
Oh yeah, hey, yeah, no. It's a trick. It's a bamboozlement.
I was bamboozled on top of bamboozled.
Oh, are you trying to get logs for,
Yeah, I was testing my theory to see if, like, I can, like, put them in a wagon and stuff, but I need to actually find trees that are in...
Yeah, you can. You don't have to put them in a wagon. You can just make a giant, log ball.
Log ball.
But yes, wagons can work. Oh, but yeah, I think I was also bamboozled by that same Yiga gentleman in that same corner. But yeah, so like this Immortals game, it's a magic first-person shooter. It looks like you can do some cool stuff. That's kind of neat. Like he's doing a lot of different stuff with his hands and things. It's not urban fantasy, obviously, but whatever this fantasy FPS genre is, that's okay. I really like Ghostwire Tokyo. This kind of seems to be like obviously different setting, but the same vein. I don't know if the writing will be worth it. Yeah, Immortals of Aveum or whatever. It just seems kind of normal. Kind of yeah.
Yeah.
But gameplay could be cool. I think all that does to sell to me is like obviously like I think ultimately like the key, if you have good gameplay, the people will come no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think there is something to be said for like I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect between like what big AAA studios are doing with their gameplay, with their game writing, and then what like the people want. Because like obviously like earlier this year, Forspoken had a lot of really weird writing that people talked about and stuff. Obviously got made fun of a lot on the internet. I don't know if this Immortals of Aveum is as nerdy there. Oh, that one's actually pretty recent. That's late July. Well, good for them. But ultimately, like, I feel like the difference there between, like, why I'm not 100% sold on this game, whereas I saw, like, Ghostwire Tokyo and I was like, I'm there, is, like, you need good hooks. And, like, I understand that original IP is important because you
hey.
need something you wholly own. But, like, can you, like, actually, like, you got to put an effort to making it interesting and hooking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have a little bit of a tough time with this right now in this weather.
The spookening.
All them trees are ups. Also, yes, the spookening. Be careful, by the way. Some of these trees are haunted.
Yes, it did change. I was wondering about that.
Hmm.
Normally there's someone who shows up and there's a narration, but not anymore.
It's very interesting, yes. Okay, well,
Tree!
that'd be very fun to take care of later.
Yeah, this is my plan. I'll just get all the... Oh, they did this intentionally. Put all these evermeans right here, because it's probably, like, the closest amount of fucking lumber to get a damn,
Yeah. Also, you do got to be careful. What they can break the logs you've already cut. If they do their slam attack into a log, they'll turn it into wood. But yeah, no. The amount of... Actually, this does go to a point in general that will probably come up a little bit on this PlayStation Showcase stuff as well. But, like, you can tell Nintendo did a lot of work, like, examining a lot of their little areas and doing a lot of their, like, work to, like, carefully sculpt a lot of these encounters, you know?
Mhm.
A lot of that polished stuff people are looking for. These are big logs.
These are big logs. Maybe this wagon idea... Well, maybe not this small ass wagon. I need to make a super...
No, that's a passenger wagon. I don't know if that'll work. You could use those supplies to make, like, more of a flatbed cargo wagon, and that might work a little better. Yeah. I think I could get, like, 3 wide stacks. Whoop!
Well, this idea is different.
Well, that's what problem solving is for. But, like, it has been well noted and, you know, announced in interviews that Tears of the Kingdom was technically, like, feature complete probably about a year ago, and Nintendo chose to delay it and chose to sit on it to ensure it was very well polished, right? And you know, everything clicks really well. A lot of physics testing specifically and bug fixing the physics interactions, which is very important. The physics are very key to this game. They designed a lot of systems around that. And so, obviously, with so many famous games this year getting that, like, whatchamacallit, like the developer letter, it's becoming a meme again. Like, everybody thought it was just the Cyberpunk thing. No, that's just a thing developers do now, is they release a buggy release, especially to PC, and then they show you an apology for it. And, like, you know, Jedi Survivor has been hit with this a little bit. You know, depending on where you're playing that game can be quite rough. Obviously, the new Lord of the Rings Gollum game came out and is being absolutely slammed. Literally the worst scored game all year. As usual, I like to say, I don't want the games to fail and be bad, you know, but, like, at the same time, that Gollum game was such a, like, who the fuck asked?
I don't know who asked for a fucking Gollum game.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to be spicy to those devs. I'm sure they worked hard on it, but it's definitely one of those, like, that's a real, you know, thankless job type shit right there. It's like, you know, did anybody want this? No, probably it's WB Games or Amazon, because apparently WB and Amazon have split the fucking rights for Lord of the Rings, however the fuck this happened, so they can both make video games out of it. Like, somebody wanted to make sure that it feels like they're still exercising their fucking license or whatever, but yeah, it's bad, and I'm not going to say they should feel bad, but I'm sure they do feel bad. But, like, a lot of people are, like, taking this message from Nintendo, right? And arguably, I believe, not the exact same thing, but in still doing interviews for Final Fantasy 16, Yoshi P has been saying similar stuff about 16, right? Like, that game has been in dev for a long time, and they have actually, like, been holding it back and trying to make sure that it's very well polished and clicking. They are so confident, they have straight up said there's no day one patch. for 16. They tried to make sure that game is playable out the box when it went gold, right? So, hey, I hope it works. Honestly, it probably will because it's just going on PS5 and it's been very heavily optimized for that. But yeah. So a lot of people are translating this as like, see, if you just delay your game an extra year, it'll be good. And while I do agree, polish is a very important phase of any project, and video games especially being how big and complex they can be, it is important to take a little bit of time to polish. But it's one of those things, right, where like I say that if you can afford to have your game sit for a couple extra months for polish, you should absolutely do that. Because there's no net downside to the polish phase. No, you will not lose anything by being polishing except money. Because, game developers don't magically get not paid for polish. So while you're polishing, everybody has to still be paid their salary. You have to pay all your utility bills in your studio and shit, all that other stuff. So there are going to be times where game devs can't afford to wait a year to polish. Like, Nintendo is in a very privileged position. They are a, major publisher. They have a lot of major franchises under their belt. They are also a console developer with a console storefront with like a membership service that's plugged into all the nostalgia centers of your brain. Like, they have a lot of alternate revenue shit, right? You might have to scooch a little closer to him.
Well, he says I smell lumber, so...
Okay.
Okay, cool.
I think I accidentally bumped into him with a wagon in the middle of the night. And he was like, you've brought me some logs with not so much as a how do you do? And I'm like, sorry. But yeah, like...
Oh, the pirate ship's gone.
Nintendo, like, can afford this delay. Square Enix, for instance, can also afford Final Fantasy 16 a little bit. One, because I think they've been burned by rushing their releases in the past. But also, two, their actual strategy is, like, they use phone games and Final Fantasy 14 as like alternate revenue streams to keep them supplied to make bigger games. So like they can also afford to do that. Like, okay, I'll say this. Hypothetically, Pokemon can afford the polish. The problem there is Pokemon's multimedia empire. Like, Castrelli just said this in there, but like everything in the entire Pokemon franchise is based around those games coming out because that's the new generations, the new Pokemon, the new characters, etc., the new look. So, I think Marth said something in our Discord about like Game Freak sets the release dates for Pokemon games, and then they base their entire merch push around that. And obviously, I want to say, well, Game Freak, that's your problem. You decide to like key everything around there for maximum big money-ish. But at the same time, once you've done that, once you've got physical production in the mix, well, you better make those dates because otherwise shit's going to be like, it's going to be late and you're going to have to deal with physical product. And that is a motherfucker. Nobody wants physical product wasting away somewhere, right? That's just more money down the hole. Retailers don't want to hold it. They want to sell it. Storage doesn't want to hold it. You want to sell it so you can produce more. But yeah, like, it makes sense. But and this is why I mean, like, if you can afford polish, you should polish. But lots of other game developers can't afford that polish. Like, you might have, like, contract specs you're in danger of violating. You might have, angry shareholder meetings. You might, miss a quarterly earnings report and then have to, like, justify yourself to stockholders and stuff. Like,
yeah. Actually, I did find a very interesting post about this on Twitter, and I did share it in our games, which talks about how game development works, and it's all about making milestones and trying to meet them under budget. And Lord help you if you don't make it or you go over budget. It becomes
it's a lot like
fucking
movie
disaster.
making.
And this is how you get into the crunch.
Yeah,
constantly.
Because you're trying to make deadlines and you're trying to do stuff under budget. And like I said, I'm sure that, like, I mean, probably not literally, but after the success of Breath of the Wild, Aonuma probably got a blank check on Tears, right? Like, Nintendo was like, take as much time as you need, whatever resources you need, give us another banger. Whereas, like I said, Pokemon is like, okay, well, guess what, guys? We've scheduled our entire multimedia push. We've got a fucking TV show. We've got new cardboard cards. We've got 5 billion plushies. And it all has to come out the same day. Otherwise, we're all fucked. And then it's like, well, I guess if the video game's the weak link of this, that's the weak link. And again, I like ultimately it didn't matter too much. Like, I do also think that like as a like class, the gamers TM are like really like, you know, persnickety and over entitled. Like,
Oh, definitely.
there are motherfuckers out here being like when people say, oh, I guess 60 frames per second doesn't matter to AAA games. People are like, this Zelda's not a AAA game. What the fuck you talking about? And I'm like, you're wrong. Yes, it is made on like underpowered, like 10-year-old hardware or whatever. But they still took like 6 years to polish this giant experience that is, you know, full of depth and shit. You trying to tell me this is like some kind of indie game? No. Like, this is a big game release that Lucky's playing right now. There's a lot of shit in here. And a lot of dedication and polish and focus. Just because they managed to do, actually, honestly, it's all the more impressive they managed to do this and all this like shit like that. I mean, yes, I understand. Like, I'm not saying that like Redfall gets a free pass for being 30 FPS because they promised they should be 60 FPS. You know, they were advertising this 60 FPS and then had to walk that back. But at the same time, it's one of those things of like, no, it actually genuinely does not matter that much. If the game is good, people will still play it. And like, the make or break it factor is not that your game is 60 or 30 FPS or 120 FPS or whatever the fuck you can do. You know, it's the make or break point is the game good? And is the game good to play?
Alright, I think I can get another weapon now. Yay.
Yay. But yeah, like it's always really interesting to see these things. So like again, Nintendo can afford delays. Square has their engine, like they've changed the way they develop games to like make room for that kind of stuff, to have these stuff. But there are going to be a lot of publishers, even big mass market publishers like EA, you know, like who are going to be like concerned about meeting shareholding for all their stuff like that. Like, honestly, that probably means that it's like a better sign, right? That like Xbox feels that they can afford to keep pushing Starfield, and Bethesda feels like they can afford to keep pushing Starfield back to make it better. Obviously, because I've played a mainline Bethesda Game Studios game, that game is not going to be flawless at launch, no matter what happens. I literally don't think whatever Bethesda's dev cycle like layout is, I don't think they can produce a perfectly polished game release. Like, they've never done it until now, as far as I know. And like I said, I have bought Skyrim multiple times and put a shitload of hours into it. You know, I played the fuck out of you know, Fallout 3. I've tried to get into Fallout 4 and it doesn't really grip me. I think it does have some positives that are interesting, but like it just doesn't grab me in the same way that like 3 or New Vegas did. You know, and Fallout 76 was infamous for how rough its launch was. So like and I'm pretty sure earlier Elder Scrolls like Oblivion and Morrowind are also just as like bug riddled and insane as Skyrim is, if I understand them correctly, you know. So like, yeah, I just don't think they're capable of producing a game that is quote unquote tight or polished. But I suspect the game will be less likely to make your console eat itself after like a year's worth of delays, right? You know, they'll probably catch a lot of the big game-breaking bugs. Mods will patch at some of the other dumb shit. And some of it's going to come down to game design decisions. Like, I'm sure they'll have, you know, weird systems and sub-themes that are in there for no reason, but you can do. Some of which will be cool, some of which will be fucking pointless.
There you go.
You know, take a look. Like I said, I personally think there's some parts of this game that, like, I'm sure were engine limitations, but I wouldn't really have minded getting rejiggered. Lucky's about to play around with some more. Well, actually, no, you got to get 20 bundles of rice first.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna get those. I'm probably gonna have to buy them. But first, I'm gonna go do my fucking lap of Death Mountain. Because a fucking
Blood Moon
happened. That means all the rocks are back, which means I can feed them. I can feed them stuff.
Yeah.
This time I gotta remember to mark them all, though.
Also, it's pretty easy to get the rice. Like you can buy them mostly, but if you want to get them cheap, just go back to Hateno Village and cut down every blade of grass.
Oh, is that how that works? Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Rice spawns in the Hateno Village region.
Right.
You can get it just by cutting grass.
Okay, I'll do that.
That's what I did to top mine off.
I do like rice.
It's pretty good. Makes rice balls. Makes eggs and rice.
Alrighty, so...
I think Tabantha wheat might spawn similarly in different regions. I'm just not sure exactly where. Most of you just get bugs and critters from chopping down grass.
Yeah, but Axe, if you're watching, this creature right here on Death Mountain is what I'm talking about. It's easiest to do this with the stealth suit because guess what? I can literally be like, hello.
Yeah.
But
this is a rock octa-rock.
But drop your weapon. I'm gonna sprint so he notices me. He'll suck it. Oh, I gotta get back further. Oh, turn off your fucking sages too.
Yeah, they'll auto attack.
But watch, he's gonna suck it up. After it does that, kill it. Because otherwise it will fucking shoot your weapon back at you, and if you get hit by your high damage weapon, you take a lot of fucking damage.
Ooh, and you got an eyeball. Make sure you do the side quest related to the job in Chica Village, so you can get the armor cheap.
Oh yeah. It's not that hard. You just need a Sundelion to go with everything.
And you do need a little bit of rice, but
Grab these
because I think it's she wants porridge, so it's rice plus milk makes porridge. So just put a Sundelion in it. There are technically other things you can put in it, but the Sundelion is the easiest anti-gloom thing. Yeah, I should probably do this run. I need some of them butterflies for some upgrades and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish we could rotate sensors easier because it's not necessarily easy to sense small critters in this game, right? Like, obviously, your sensor lets you know when they're nearby, but without using the sensor mode, it can be a little weird because they can actually be hard to spot sometimes if you're, like, in darkness or whatever. This is why I spend a lot of time sleeping until morning, though some things only spawn at night. Like, for instance, if you're trying to improve your stealth suit, you need some fireflies for that, so you got to wait for dusk. I do kind of like what they did with the bloopies, because not only are they sources of rupees, but they also run towards caves. So if you're looking for caves you haven't found, follow the bloopy. And if you shoot me, you get free shit. But yeah, no. So the game polish question is very interesting, but it's not like, as usual, like I said, with the gamers being entitled, it's not a universal 1-to-1, you know, just wait, delay your game a year to polish, because people, that means they have to pay everybody a whole year worth of salary without, you know, making a new game that would probably drive up sales that would, you know, help pay for salaries and utility bills. And yes, I know that corporate suits also get a lot of that cash, but like, again, I assume you want your game developers to be paid, right? Well, that means you got to get money in, and sometimes you can't get money in. Oh, yes, no. So long as you don't sprint, critters also don't notice you in the stealth suit.
Yeah, so it makes it real easy to
yeah.
That's why
you can literally just walk up behind him and be like,
the stealth suit is almost necessary for gathering stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some creatures you can actually, like, shoot. Like, if you hit a lizard, it'll die and stop. I don't know if you can do that for bugs, though. I mean, like, obviously, like, some creatures have very specific spawn areas. Like, you can run after, like, certain frogs, and obviously if you cut grass, you get a lot of restless crickets, which just kind of spawn next to you, so it's easier. But yeah, no, stealth is, like, very essential. There's a reason why I went out of my to grab it.
Okay, so let's see here. What else do I want to fix? Actually, can I fix bows and shields this way? I don't think I've ever tried. I think I'll try.
Probably. They also have durability. I'm sure they can suck them up.
All right. So those are only the 3
You
hour
be careful,
marks.
Chad. If you've never been eaten by a like, they can eat your shield.
I have not been eaten by a like, actually. Because I usually, Light-likes are very easy to deal with if you once you
Yeah.
understand their process. But I did have an immediate gut check when I first saw them. I was like,
Oh yeah, no. When I first saw one in a cave, I took a picture of it because I was immediately like, "That's a motherfucking like picture, like," and I'm like, "Cool, I'm leaving. I won't fuck with this." Um, Again, all the new enemies they designed for this are so cool. Like, and I like them a lot. Like the tree guys are like an interesting add-on.
Ever
Um,
means such a
yeah,
name.
it means. Um, the little Froxes and kind of the big Froxes too. Some of them are a little annoying with their constant body slamming of me, but it's
Uh,
still like
I give thanks to my Sage of Wind. He actually pegs him in the eye enough. And
yeah.
like,
To
and
I
they have
Go
the
ahead.
vacuum. They have the vacuum attack. You throw a bomb in there, they're gonna go down.
Yeah, no. Um,
Let's see here.
as opposed to now how because you can't just set and forget bombs. Handling Moldugas is a little bit weird. My trick for that involves throwing my infinite piles of flint at the sand to make them come up and then blasting them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll respond to anything you throw on the ground. So you can just throw literal rocks out of your pocket and the Molduga will be like, "What's that?" Bloop. And then when he jumps out, you're just like, "Bomb!"
No,
Possibly
like
dazzle fruit,
I
flashbang.
know we were talking about this earlier, but I definitely wish we did just have some ye old gadgets and gizmos
Yeah.
and tools. Like I would like a lantern. I would like a indestructible pickaxe. Something that does no damage to monsters but let me hit fucking rocks. I would like
Yeah.
a bug net.
Oh god, I really wish I had like. Okay, you can sneak up on fairies. Sometimes those motherfuckers are just too high.
Yeah.
Give me some Z targeting and a bug net. Technically, I think, and I think actually it might have been somebody mentioned this in our Discord. Technically, if you can get the boulder breaker, because that can be repaired, right? Like he can remake that. That can technically be your pickaxe, but that means you got to go through a whole thing where you need a cobble crusher and like 3 diamonds and a flint, I think.
Actually, how many diamonds?
Um,
I got 9 diamonds. I haven't used any of them.
oh yeah, no, I hoard them for weapons. The problem is getting you need to have inventory slots free to carry the base weapon. Like that's the reason why I don't have like the arms of the 7 because I don't have a free weapon and shield slot free to actually like find the Gerudo scimitar and shield. I do know a place they spawn, Gerudo Sanctuary, which if you do you got to do the side quest for all the balls. Yeah, you make them for special weapons. So I haven't seen a Zora Trident in the wild, but I'm sure they're around.
Oh, that guy saw me. Whatever. But it's great because these
Can I
guys
just
are
say?
like,
Good.
because if you just run close to them, they'll burrow again. So let's see.
Yeah, they'll hide. Yeah, what I was gonna say was I love what the stuff they added to Zora's domain. It's very interesting. Like I love the fact that this game is a sequel. I know sometimes it doesn't treat itself like a sequel, but what they did for like the 4 areas, the 4 different races and stuff, like that's all neat. Going back to Rito Village, that we
Oops.
explain
Oh, it was
why Taba doesn't, can't be your champion friend. He's got he's the chief of the village now. Which is
okay.
good because the previous Rito chief was kind of I mean, I know he was, but like he wasn't really good for much in Breath. He was just like, I don't know what we'll do. It's very scary.
Man, are there none between?
Anyway, you know what my friend Taba's doing? You go see him. Maybe he can help us solve this. Obviously, like rebalancing Gerudo Town so you can actually just walk inside. And adding some different, areas you can explore. Cool. But like the fluff-wise, the changes to Zora's domain are the most funny. I still can't believe Sidon put a fucking statue of you riding his back in the center of town.
It's the best.
It's
I was
so
very
great.
upset that Sidon's Sage didn't pop on my ring finger. I was like, God damn it. He even got down on one knee and everything.
Yeah, well, it's because he's so tall.
He is so tall. Let's see here.
But yeah, the Goron City subplot's really interesting because, like, somebody made this joke. I saw this joke on Twitter, but like those Gorons literally discovered crack rocks.
Yeah, they did.
But like, I feel like it's a little weird because he's being all evilly gooped, but like Yunobu actually has like some characterization in this one. I just remember him as like the weird scaredy boy, first one. But I'm like, oh shit, President Yunobu, he does some stuff now.
He's still an anxious dude, but
Yeah, but like he's at the same time he's like, gasp, that's Princess Zelda heading towards the peak of Death Mountain. Link, we gotta go. Like he's not afraid of nothing. I mean, not afraid of nothing, but he's ready to jump into situations now, and like he feels responsibility. Oh, he's gonna be in this chest. Yeah, it's an alright drop. Bright Bloom seeds are at the front of my most used item for a reason. But yeah, let me keep going through this PlayStation Showcase. Hit some other highlights. We got Ghost Runner 2 announced. Actually, I just saw that grappling hook. That does remind me of, like I said, permanent gadgets. Like, God, I feel like it's because they didn't want to try and work out, like, rope physics in this game because there's already so much. But, like, God, wouldn't it be so cool if you could just use your hand to, like, fucking web shot places, right?
They have rope physics, though. All the chains and the bridges and stuff, they all have physics based on their weight and length.
It is true. There is swing mechanics.
There's puzzles that are... I can't remember what it was. I think it was one of the Korok Village ones where you actually had to swing a chain to
that's the core one by the Deku Tree.
To swing a chain to make, a platform go mo. So no, they had it all fucking statted out. And they just...
Well, yeah, what I mean is maybe they didn't want to make that, like, player facing, because like I can imagine there being some weirdness with players being able to like create their own ropes and chains, but still I wish we could go there. Or like give me like rope coils I can attach to my like arrows, right? Rope arrows, if you don't want to give me the indefinite ability to make ropes, like make it a resource spend like everything else, but like, oh god,
that's why you don't have your sages. Fish. Let me mark this one though. Also, I need like 20 different types of pens, or I have the ability to write notes.
Yeah, they expanded the different kinds of stamps and pins, but it's still like, damn, you gotta, like...
Like, I have a system, and it works pretty well, but at the same time, I wish I had more things.
Yeah.
Like, I know these ones are my Octoroks, but I think I've also been marking, like, Hinoxes and stuff at places, because I need, like, those things.
They're important.
This is a treasure chest, because right here is actually an orchard where you can find a bunch of apples and golden apples. But, let's see here. Stars are either, I think I mentioned this before, stars are either Koroks or sign-holding guys. If you go to the depths, actually, I might get rid of these. The untarnished weapons are okay, but I haven't found anything higher than fucking soldier. It's all soldier and traveler. I'm just like, eh?
Yeah, if one of those guys was, like, dropping royal shit, maybe that'd be worth keeping track of.
But nah, I think they're just interesting to... Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of them. They're just interesting to run into. And it's not that hard to actually find them. Usually, like, little stands represent them, so they're easy enough to find. It's like, if you see, like, an octagon, that's usually a zonite depot where you can build something.
Yeah, I like the map cues. And also for spirits offering swords, they, glow in the gloom, so it's pretty easy to track them.
Did I know?
But like, they can hold real stuff. Interesting. I've never seen them. Maybe it's level based when you discover them, or might just be in deeper areas I haven't got to. There is because Link still does have his hidden EXP mechanic. There is subtle leveling up. Like, I've noticed, enemies carrying higher grade shit as well. Sometimes you run into fucking Silverbook Hoplins wielding sticks. They still hit like a motherfucker because they cheat. But like, usually it goes that like better guys have better gadgetry.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it is like I said earlier, talking about like permanent progression. It is kind of sad to me that like every single thing that would be just like a thing Link gets to keep in his back pocket is like almost always either tied to you have to wear a specific outfit and you usually to get your best benefits you have to level it up and like wear all three pieces or at least usually a couple of pieces. Because like honestly, if you put on like one piece of cold proof gear, the amount of areas that gives you access to is not very much. Usually you need two. I don't actually know if you ever need all 3.
You only need 3. You only need 3 for the set bonus, which
Yeah.
is useful but is not the best.
Yeah. So, like, there's a little bit of flexibility there, but still, like, being outfit related, like, you can't always, wear whatever you prefer, and you got to do some awkward stuff. Like I said, I like how free cooking is V potions, but also, like, I feel like they expect you to solve a lot of things by elixirs, and it's like, yes, okay, I can make an elixir that makes me glow for, like, 15 minutes and keep chugging them down, but, like, that still is just more shit I have to specifically, like, farm and brew, and you do have a cap on meals. You can only carry so many, and elixirs count.
Yeah, no, like, I got me a fireproof elixir that I still have. Oh, this is only a 1. Son of a fucking bitch. Yeah, this ain't... Well, it should be enough to get me underground, but that's about it.
Flame Guard 1 for, like, 12 minutes, that's pretty alright, yeah.
But, like, usually I'll have, like, a haste potion because... Haste potions are just good because it improves your running, climbing, and swim speed. And you can't get that on any one fucking, set, so that's why I don't have my climber set.
Yeah, there's no set that's just speed up. It's either swim or climb. Though at least the Zora gear, which gives you swim speed up, has, other things like swimming up waterfalls, and
spin attack.
if you get the set bonus, it reduces your dash stamina.
Yeah.
Also, I think if you have this Zora that lets you do the spin attack in water.
Yeah, that's the helm.
Yeah. Which is useful to actually be able to fight things in water. Water gives you a lot of limitations. But yeah, like, everything that is in a normal Zelda game is in this game, but also it's all, like, shit you have to make yourself. Like, that in the original Legend of Zelda, one of the items you could get was, like, a ladder or a raft, right?
Right.
Well, that's definitely in this. If you do auto build, you can fucking have a raft. You can just make whenever, but that means you need to have logs or spend Zonite.
Well, like, the Zonite kind of scratches the gadget itch, because, like, when you fuse Zonite... Oh, I think that's Nadra. See your tail.
Yep, if you're in a...
Yep, that's Nadra.
Yeah.
Hi, Nadra! It's wet! But, like... Let me pull up my Zonite, because there are a lot of things you can do, like... If you use a sled or a cart to your shield and you do a silt slide, you can actually go a lot further with those things. Like, you can put flamethrowers on your shields or cannons and all that stuff. Lights.
You can make a mirror shield. It's not necessary, but it's funny.
It's nice. So you can get a little bit of the gadget, but, like, there's just some utility, like.
And also,
things I really want.
The gadget is still those are all expendables. You have to go to literal gachapon machines to replenish yourself on those, or occasionally get lucky in treasure chests. Like, it goes into expendable, so it's like...
Yeah, and then there's just some things that, like, I haven't actually found the gacha, like the hoverstone. Apparently, that's a Zonite device thing.
I think some of them, you may see some question marks at them. I think some of them you may have to feed big charges to.
Oh, maybe. Like, fuck, there's the big battery? It's like, oh.
Yeah, those are pretty rare. But yeah, no, it's neato, and there's so much cool shit you can do with this. Like, fucking the fact that you can get laser emitters and homing drones, murder Roombas, or the construct head, right? Like, that's how you build your fucking Pocket Gundam shit. That's really rad. Also, how the fuck would I, like, be able to, like, assemble that in a reasonable fashion when I need it, right? Like, you'd probably have to build it and then auto build it later.
Yeah. Like, that's what I've been learning, is, like, I have to auto build, like, where is it?
Auto build, which is technically kind of sort of an optional feature. You probably should get it because there's some plot involved in the path to getting it, but
like, this is a murder road that I made to fight the water temple boss. It has a fucking hydrant, a frost emitter, and a thing, so it just follows the boss around spewing water and ice. I'm like, that's useful.
Shit, that would have made my time so much easier.
Yeah.
I had to huck a lot of splash fruits.
Yeah. But, I didn't have that the first time. I had to assemble that in battle, which I'm going to tell you right now, trying to fuse things in battle, it's a pain. It's a fucking pain. I hate it. Like,
yeah, this is a game that rewards prep work, but it's also the kind of question of, like, how the fuck would I know I had to prep for this? I guess they did show the goop shark in the trailers, but still.
Yeah, I didn't know that water would get rid of the goop.
Yeah.
it and
you
rise.
know, you got to work there. But like, it's so interesting because like I'm thinking of all like I'm not as much of a hardcore Zelda guy, but I've played a decent number. Like
Man, I got so
I've
many
played A
Zeldas.
Link to the Past, which is full of fun widgets and stuff. That reminds me of another thing that you can get in that game that I really wish you could do in this because I know you can sprint, but the way that Pegasus boots work in A Link to the Past,
Oh, they were fun. They were the best.
like I would love if you could actually like charge up a sprinting attack. Like yes, you could do like a dash attack kind of, but it mostly just extends your reach a little bit while you're sprinting. And I think it's more powerful. But like you can't really roll in this game, which is a little sad. I know you can shield skate, which is its own thing, but hey, if you shield skate on a shield that's fused to something, it doesn't work.
On most cases, if you do a sled or a cart, it
Yeah.
does work.
Slider carts specifically work, but I think those were designed that way. But like,
Also,
I
think
like
if
to
you...
glue Talos hearts to my shields.
Actually, I think if you do a spring, I think that also works too. I think. I'm gonna test that real quick.
Yeah, that probably does something to make you jump. Like, obviously, if you fuse a rocket to your shield, you don't slide. You just fucking rocket jump, which is useful.
That was pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow. So you fucking high jump. It's a shame it goes away right after. Oh well, you can always buy more. But yeah, there's a lot of joy to be had in this game and just, fucking around. Like at one point, I didn't actually need to use it, but I did personally I fused a hydrant to one of my shields in the fire temple just because I'm like, I might need this later. I did not actually, but it could have been useful. Again, the main thing is just I would love permanence. Like Nintendo really did double down on like, yeah, no, what we're going for is you are going to expend resources to do almost everything. And they've done some things that are permanent, which are nice, but it's just like I said, it makes me miss like older Zeldas where you could get, just straight up improvements to a lot of stuff. And yeah, some of that stuff was like weird and situational. Like, how much did you actually need the iron ball and chain and Twilight Princess, right?
Not really. Same with the top. The top was very
Yeah.
specific, but it was.
I mean,
fun.
it was fucking sick in the dungeon it was designed for, but outside of that, it was like not that useful. That's the kind of thing that I'm like, I'm okay with Nintendo getting away from that kind of design where you need a gadget literally just to beat the dungeons it's in, and then you're done forever. Also, to shield surf, you get your shield out, and then you gotta press.
You gotta jump, push the shield button, and hit A. So it's a quick thing. It's like duh, duh, duh. And it's good for getting down. If you fuse a sled, spring, or something like that, you'll get an additional effect. But anything else, and you'll just slip right off. So keep it in mind.
You can also shield slide on rails.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah, useful for getting around in areas. But yeah, but I could see and actually I don't think that's in the game. They have other boots, but I wouldn't mind some iron boots in this game. You get knocked around a little bit sometimes. You can get pushed and pulled.
Well, it's also
I'd love to be able to turn.
There's actually no underwater segments in this game.
Yeah, they really didn't want to. I mean, I know that infamously that's where Zelda's been really weird, but yeah, they did actually I know people thought there might be diving and stuff, but no. If you go through whirlpools, you end up in underground caves, and in the water temple, those bubbles you don't really go underwater in,
Yeah.
And they have buoyancy mechanics. That's actually in some shrine trials is teaching you about things that float versus things that sink, and some funny things you can do that way. But yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised you can't just full blown swim ever. Because Nintendo totally could have made that an armor set is just not just your Zora shit, but your scuba gear.
The dive set, iron boots,
yeah. And just have, I mean, you're already using stamina when you swim, so just, that would work while you're underwater too. There's all kinds of stuff.
No, some people like to keep trying to Tears of the Kingdom. I think is a solid 8 for me. I like this game. I'm gonna be playing it for a long time, and I can probably come back to it at any point and just have a good time. But there's a lot of things that irk me about this game.
Yeah, it's not gonna be my perfect. I don't know. To me, it probably really depends on whether or not Rebirth actually comes out this year. But like, I feel like the way that 16 is being coached, I'm like, that's gonna be my really big boy game of the year. Like, that's probably gonna be my personal game of the year at this rate because, like, I'm not like nuclear excited about 16 the way I am about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but that's because like the marketing and the hype is different. Like with Rebirth, I'm a big fan of the original Final Fantasy VII. I've played it quite a few times. I've followed a lot of the compilation stuff, and like that to me has like so much like, and also it's a sequel, so I've already seen what they've done, right? Like that's got so much anticipation woven in it where I'm like, oh my God, I've seen what they can do. I can't wait to see like, what does Vincent play like? What does, Sid play like? What does Red 13 fucking play like? What is the orchestration of the Cosmo Canyon theme going to be like? Because hearing Cosmo Canyon like in its compressed ass MIDI form already makes my, heart aflutter. Like shit like that, right? I have anticipation about that game. 16 is just like, hey, you, Omega, did you like Final Fantasy 12? Did you like Final Fantasy? Are you enjoying Final Fantasy 14? Those guys are making another Final Fantasy, and I'm like, fuck yeah. Like every single thing they talk about, like art direction, plot wise, and stuff, is like, oh, this is just a game that's made by the people whose other stuff I already like. Like I talked about last week about Grimbeard recently did like a recap review video on Vagrant Stride. I'm like, oh, that's also really neat. Hey, a lot of those same guys worked on 12. Got moved over to 14 or working on 16, like it's gonna be good shit. I'm down to clown on that. Like, but my anticipation is different. I feel like my anticipation, the best analogy I have for maybe some of the people at home and for Lucky for like how I feel about 7 Rebirth is like, it's like when we get to July and they inevitably announce the next Final Fantasy 14 expansion and like there's a trailer. Like, you Lucky, because you're caught up on content, are going to be like, ooh, that's the direction we're going. Oh my God, the things we can do with that stuff, Like, you're going to know exactly what kind of plays they're setting up. Or if you don't know, you're probably going to be even more like, oh my God, what does this mean, I'm
excited.
Me, I'm probably still going to be in Stormblood by the time we get to that point. So, I won't have that full effect yet. But 16 is definitely like, every time they just say something about it, I'm like, fuck yeah, yeah. They're going to have, like, New Game Plus will be included by default. They'll have higher difficulty levels and shit. The active time lore system looks great and sounds like a great way to remind yourself of shit you lose track of. Literally had that moment on the last Final Fantasy 14 stream where a guy approached me and was like, Warrior of Light, do you remember me? And I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you, Chief. I don't. And he's like, that's okay. You helped me out way back in I think it was technically a Realm Reborn. You saved that guy from getting witch dropped. And I'm like, yeah, okay. No, that makes sense that I wouldn't remember that. That was quite a while ago. So, like, the fact that 16 will have this moment where you can, like, a character will be like, hello, and you can be like, who the fuck is this? Click middle button. Ah, that guy. Right, I remember him. Very
that's
handy.
25. That's enough for now. I'll come back later.
Yeah, it's an easy way to farm it. But yeah, so let's see. Going back to this, they had a Ghost Runner 2 trailer. Looks real good. They had, what was this called? It was something 0.
Oh, it was, wasn't it like Phantom Blade 0 or something?
Yeah. That game looks pretty slick. Kind of, into the Souls-like action RPG area. But definitely, like, might still be a little bit more on the maybe more of the Neo end where like it's a little bit more about the action RPG than the roguelike type experience, it seems like.
Yeah.
But I said it looks sick. Like there's a lot of, whoosha shit in here. Lots of, super interesting parries, dodges, verticality and stuff, running up walls and shit. Lots of fucking sword shit. And I'm like, that looks pretty sick. Yeah, Phantom Blade 0. The guys who made Abzu and Journey and so on are releasing another game, Sword of the Sea. You get to surf on a sword. So I'm like, that seems pretty cool. that's going to be like another, weird artsy game coming to PS5. This is an interesting one for me. So this, technically in the middle of Phantom Blade Zero, that was the middle of a thunderstorm for me. So my power went out, and that meant my ISP freaked out for a while. Our router was a little confuzzled, so I missed some of these. I came back right in time for the moment, which I'm very glad for. But a couple of these trailers, I had to go back and look later. But very interestingly enough, a sequel to Talos Principle 2. Lucky, did you know anything about the original Talos Principle?
It's on a wish list. It's on my wish list because I hear it's good, but I never played
Yeah,
it.
it's a first-person platforming puzzle game, but it also has a lot of like philosophical, like I mean, you can get this from the Talos Principle 2 trailer. Like, there's a lot of questions about like what is life, what is sentience, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, I've seen a like very thorough Let's Play of the game before, and I'm also have it on my wish list to actually play it. But like, it's got some interesting puzzle work and some very deep thoughts and stuff. And so technically the first game ends with room for a sequel, but I don't, know exactly where the sequel is going. But it does kind of look like they've got some bigger budget, some higher quality models and shit. So, that could be interesting. Next was Neva, a game which looks like it is trying to crush my soul. That was the game with the deer wolf that appears to be dying and has a little puppy, and I'm just like, no, Sag.
Yeah, I remember this one's made by the creator who made Gris, which is another game I believe is very well received and emotional, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So Sony not skimping on their kind of artsy indie titles.
Whoa.
That was coming in 2024.
This is huge.
Oh yeah, those are very tall. That's the awkward part. You now have to get this through the hole.
If I grab it from here, will it?
These gave me a little trouble. Like I said, the Ultra Hand's cool, but like, you were probably going to want to try and get it in the other way around.
No, I have a plan.
Okay. Oh, he's working it. Yeah.
Oh shit.
But yeah, these were a little awkward because your range and your field of view with Ultra Hand are very fixed.
Oh, I missed.
Which is a little wiggly.
Ah, I fell in the hole.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for that. But yeah, so there's also a Cat Quest game coming. It's gonna be interesting. Then we got a very interesting cue from Square Enix. Foam Stars, aka literally Splatoon at home. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people were talking about this. They're like, "Oh, it's like Splatoon if they didn't have an art style," and I'm like, "Nah, that's not quite right."
I mean, if you're gonna be real, Splatoon doesn't have a fucking art style either. It's almost the exact same.
Yeah, I mean, they have a more specific theme because they mix with the seafood thing, but like, it's also still like, other than that, it's very kind of like anime-esque by design. I mean, this seems like they've got the same like weirdness with like foam and bubbles. Like that guy has like a Gatling gun with that shoots champagne rockets. I'll admit, with Square Enix's tendency so far, I've seen some people on Twitter making the joke of like announced, Foam Star servers already shut down, even though the game hasn't come out yet. Like. I don't have great confidence in Square's ability to make these kind of ongoing games, but this at least is coming to consoles where people do actually play that shit. Again, no idea why First Soldier was phone only. Why would I play a like Final Fantasy VII based battle royale on my phone? Can I even do that on my phone? I don't fucking know. But I'm like, I don't. Some people are like looked at this art style wise and stuff and are like, blech. I'm like, I don't instantly hate it. Like, I mean, it's it's a little weird and plasticky, and it kind of feels like they're chasing a market. But we'll see. Foam Stars. I mean, it's not going to be super high res because it's also for last gen. But like, whatever. Let's see. The next trailer was for what was this called again? The Plucky Squire, coming later this year. It's one of those cool little like 2D. But also 3D kind of games, playing around with like drawings and stuff. Looks cute. Lots of cute games coming out of this. The console port of Teardown, which is kind of interesting. That's the voxel-based kind of construction deconstruction game. I'm like, that's kind of cool. It's coming to consoles. Teardown having some fun this year. And then this is the big one, which is where I came right back in on this ant. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been avoiding it all show so far, but you saw it in the thumbnail. The Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is real. And it was kind of in classic fashion announced with a trailer that, like, did not quite let you in on what was going on. I think I had my first suspicions about the time the Gavial fights the, like, anaconda, because I was like, hold on, that's not like a crocodile, it's like a Gavial type thing. Could this be? Is this? No, it couldn't possibly. And then, Snake's face looms out of the darkness, and we're like, holy shit, it real. After years of rumors, Metal Gear Solid Delta, the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, is real. It will exist. Konami is working on it, first person. Now, it's very interesting. So, in their announcement, on the actual showcase, it says, coming to PS5. That game is not exclusive. Like, I saw other presser footage. It is coming to Steam and to Xbox. So, like, that's, I mean, obviously, I think because of their long-running relationship between Konami and PlayStation, they got first crack at it, but, yeah, it's not exclusive. In general, there's been a lot of news and hubbub around it. Also, the trailer ends with an announcement for Metal Gear Solid Collection, Master Collection Volume 1, which is coming autumn this year. That will include the original Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and it was later clarified will include Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good starter to a nice new collection. Specifically that I believe is because hypothetically you can access at least all of the ones that came out on Xbox still because they're backwards compatibility feature, and I think most of those are on Steam. But on PlayStation 5, there's not been a specific next gen way to get them. And there were some takedowns. There was some hullabaloo that people were like, it's they've announced there will be some changes to the games for copyrights. I assume that is based around all the licensed pickups in those games because Hideo Kojima loves branding.
I remember
if you are a brand. Mm-hmm. Calorie Mates. I don't remember if in any of those games. I think it was only in 4 of the magazines were called Playboys, but that happened. There's also, for a long time, Metal Gear Solid 3 was not available on, like, Steam and certain outlets because they lost the rights to certain old, like, stock footage they had.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume there will be some edits around that in the 3 re-release and shit like that. I think in general, like, a lot of people are making a big, raising a big level about, are we going to credit Hideo Kojima for these games? I mean, I think from what they said, right, for the original 3, the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, I should say, those they have said are basically going to be those original games as they appeared on their home console. So, for instance, at least for Volume 1, Metal Gear Solid is the PS1 Metal Gear Solid. It is not explicitly the Twin Snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we may see that in Volume 2. The fact that they call it Volume 1 means that, like, I'm pretty sure that's going to have to be a modern re-release of Metal Gear Solid 4, which is basically unplayable anywhere unless you have an old-school PS3 and a disc, right?
Yeah.
Because they took it off the PlayStation streaming service and haven't re-added it to, like, PS Plus Premium or anything. So, like, you have very limited options to play Metal Gear Solid 4. I assume they're going to have to try and, like, salvage that code and re-release that game. I would assume that would probably also be a Peace Walker, and we might see some Acid on there as well.
I do want to play. Acid is exactly it. It's a fucking trip. It's crazy, but I played both of them and I thought they were great.
Yeah, they're really interesting. I do kind of hope they do that. It would also be interesting to see. I don't remember the canonicity, but there was a Game Boy game, Ghost Babel.
Yeah, that's right. I always forget about that one. Yeah.
So if Master Collection is like Metal Gear 2, Solid 1, 2, and 3, I could see like some of these other side games filling out a Volume 2. Like, to me personally, I know it'll be difficult because, again, it's based on the PS3 architecture, but, like, you got to get Metal Gear Solid 4 up and running, guys. Like, it's kind of a big deal. But, like, those games are the original base games. I assume they're going to have all the normal cutscenes and credits at the end. They're going to mention like Hideo Kojima and all the original staffers because I don't think like the way crediting works, you cannot credit the people who originally did the game stuff. Now with Metal Gear Solid Delta, that's going to be interesting because obviously Hideo Kojima will not be directly working on that, you know?
Mhm.
He's got his own studio. He's working on his own shit. This is also probably, by the way, why you did not see Death Stranding 2 at the PlayStation Showcase. I'm gonna be real. I bet that Sony was smart enough to not even ask to put Konami and Kojima on the same presser, right?
Yeah.
At least I hope they didn't, because that would be really awkward for whoever they asked about that. But that's just the kind of shit you just don't do that, right? You just don't try and program, because we know that their split was very bad. Because like I don't think you're gonna see Metal Gear Solid 5 style crediting where literally every mission starts with written by Hideo Kojima, directed by Hideo Kojima, created by Hideo Kojima. You know, like that was Kojima was baking in his credit because he understood that he was on his way out with Konami and that they were going to try and like scoop him out of that game, right? They were in a very bad place relationship wise. They were not cool, and we know that their split was very non-amicable. So like, yeah. That said, I mean, I feel like Konami is going out of their way to like try and do the dance and do the beats. I mean, obviously they haven't directly mentioned him in any of their press materials so far. And I don't know if it's just too awkward right now, but I assume that like they're probably gonna have to put a credit in Delta and be like originally created by Hideo Kojima, right? Like I don't. That's how TV and stuff works. And if you don't give him some, obviously you want to be careful about some level of credit because I'm sure residuals don't work like that, but they don't want to owe him residuals for anything because he works at a different company. That's just, you know, how things are. But I also don't.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Konami hasn't already reached out to Hideo Kojima about all this stuff. There's probably just NDAs and stuff in place.
Yeah, because this game is not coming out anytime soon. I have heard like as far out as like 2025, you know. This game has been in rumor for a while. They've been hiring people for a little bit, it sounds like, but we're still at like I think they've only actually been developing this title for like 6 to 12 months. We're probably still in like the very early production phase. They're not ready to put a date on any of this shit yet, okay? They did actually, outside of this teaser trailer, release some screenshots showing some very classical areas reimagined with like some very high-res textures. So it seems like we're going for the shot-for-shot remake style of thing, possibly with some expanded areas. And they have said, and this is, like I said, what gives me some positive vibes, is they've explicitly said they are getting the original English voice cast back. And the way that, like, response from some of those actors, like the Pains actor chimed in that they're back, it makes me sound like they might be re-recording dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Like, they may be, like, taking a second pass at the script rather than just reuse the archival footage. So, that's cool. I don't think David Hayter has weighed in on that yet, but it is very good to have him back. Like, I really like Hideo Kojima's work. I've enjoyed a lot of his games. I don't want to be like, the man is a perfect god who can do no wrong. Like, the relationship that Kojima specifically and his studio in general have had with David Hayter, for instance, is actually, like, it's kind of sad because Hayter was so iconic to this, but at the same time, like, Kojima's really obsessed with movie stars and stuff like that. So like, there's tales of I think it might have been for 3, but I think it was definitely for 4. Like, David Hayter had to like re-audition to be Solid Snake a couple of times. You know, I think they didn't even try to approach him for 5. Just Kojima used like the kind of way that plot works to do the switch for Kiefer Sutherland, which is a very weird switch because like I understand why, but like Kiefer Sutherland really doesn't sell his role as Snake. You know. It's rough. So like, it's cool that they're getting all these people back in to do that level of work where possible. So like, it's neat. But I assume they have to like give him some level of credit because they say that they're keeping all the story the same and stuff. So if that's true, I mean, I know Japanese copyright law is a little different, but like, I don't think you get to claim credit that that's your original idea, Konami, because, like, I know you produced the original, but, like, those same people aren't working on this game, and, like, we all know Metal Gear Solid 3 exists. You are re-releasing Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, so like there has to be limits, right, to what they can not claim for. So I am assuming that the credits will probably have a like, originally created by Hideo Kojima, and that's it. And they'll move on, But hopefully we can get out there. But like it's definitely a question. I don't think that question of like is going to necessarily make me not interested in the remake. Like I know Konami did Hideo Kojima dirty, but Hideo Kojima has moved on to other projects, and like I bought Death Stranding. I'll probably buy Death Stranding too. Like it's not like I'm gonna forget that he exists and like work on there. And again, he's not actively working on this remake other than whatever they may have approached him about. Like I said, I don't know how he feels. Apparently after that whole thing went down and like they ended up, scrapping Silent Hills and they, tried to make Metal Gear Solid Survive work and it didn't and shit like that. Like, apparently Konami's gaming division like shrunk down and went through a lot of cycles in management. That's why they're kind of like starting over now. They've opened the new studio. They're working on new games again because they had a management shift. So like, obviously, I don't know like what happened behind closed doors, but if I was those new people, I would definitely probably try and like at least, like you said earlier, reach out and like touch base with him because that is a thing that like people still remember to this day. They remember that shit got weird and it was bad. And like we didn't hear from Hideo Kojima for a while because they tried to do him dirty. Like I would definitely try and get out in front of that a little bit if I was Konami. Well, but they may also try for just the, ignore it and maybe it'll go away route.
I don't know necessarily it should be an ignore it and go away thing. I think this is a problem I think with a lot of people who live on the internet is people just don't get over shit or oops, I fell. Don't get over shit or let people go. If you do a bad thing, you have done that bad thing fucking forever, and no matter what you do, you will always be blamed for said bad thing.
I mean, listen, if we're gonna do that, then it's not like the kind of people who stick out most hardcore for Hideo Kojima probably don't care, but like listen, there's some arguably some problematic parts of earlier Metal Gear games.
Oh yeah.
There's some stuff in there that's a little weird, some stuff that doesn't hit the same today. There's some weird parts of some of his earlier games in like the 90s. Like there's some weird shit in Snatcher. Not that you shouldn't still check out Snatcher because that game is rad, but also some parts of it are very of its time.
Well, that thing's of its times, but like
and like I said, before the story kind of got drowned out about like how like Konami did Kojima dirty, like there were a lot of people who were concerned about that switch to Kiefer Sutherland. Like they were like, where the fuck's David Hayter? That was not a clean split either. On and arguably on Kojima's end, but yeah. So, like you said, I think the greater internet will use it as an excuse to like be agitated. But we all know that people talk a big game about games being, problematic and shouldn't support, and then the Hogwarts Legacy was like top selling game for like 3 months in a row. Like people make a big hullabaloo about how it's bad and you shouldn't do it, but we'll see how that actually goes come sales day. Like I said, unless they somehow like go out of their way to try and like deny Hideo Kojima exists somehow, which I don't even know how you would do that in a game, right? I don't think I'm gonna be like turned off of Metal Gear Delta. I'm much more concerned about like what's it gonna play like because man, 3's really cool, but they made a lot of gameplay leaps in 4 and 5. So am I gonna be once again opening my camouflage menu every 4 seconds to pull out a new coat of face paint? Probably.
Maybe they can streamline it a little bit, but yeah, no, I mean,
I hope.
Switching your camo and your face paint was a thing.
It was also a thing? Fucking healing myself. Oh no, I've been shot. I have to get my sutures and my cigar every time.
Well, no, first you gotta get your knife because you gotta pull it out, then you gotta disinfect it, then you gotta suture it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I made a joke about it being
a
2-step process, but it was 3-step. I mean, no, it's fun, but also it is sometimes a little like it's very repetitive. So hopefully they can do some streamline on this.
And make sure you check your thing after you went through the sun because you might have leeches on you.
Yeah, usually you can tell because you start losing some stamina and stuff. But
no,
yeah.
Man,
So the next
people don't understand. 1 was good, 2 was good, but 3 is where I really feel like they made this really big gameplay shift in just doing stuff.
Yeah, so 1 was, like, iconic because it was on the PS1. It was the 3D game. They were, doing, brand new tech and shit. And also, like, that was Kojima really experimenting with his love of cinema, like the way those cutscenes are shot, even though everybody's really low poly and blocky. Like, there's some actual fucking cinematography in that game. There's like blocking and arrangements and stuff and camera angles. It's funny. The main director behind Vagrant Story on the PS1 was a real big fan of Kojima, and Kojima actually also really liked what that guy did for Vagrant Story. Vagrant Story is very similar. It's got a lot of the same like cutscene, like blocking and framing and stuff as well. Lots of experimentation. So Metal Gear Solid 2 was really just like, 1, it was Kojima was taking the piss out of the fan base because everybody was like, "Oh my god, this game, you got to give me another one of these." And he's like, "Okay, fine, fuck you. I'll give you another Metal Gear Solid." But also that was mostly, I think, just upgrading the formula to 2D. Like the PS2 was a really cool era, great era for gaming. I'm so pleased that like early previews of 16 are like, this is a PS5 game with a PS2 soul. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. I like that. That sounds like the right way to pitch this kind of game. But you're right. 3 was when we got like, shit, we can do gameplay stuff. And like 4 and 5, while they did have a lot of improvements, really were like iterating on that.
Yeah.
Like the Octo Camo was the like, okay, we understand that like switching your camo manually was kind of tedious. Let's see if we can make it instant. And they're like, oh, also, by the way, that means we can show off how fucking powerful the PS3 is with real-time like texture and color changes, But yeah, so I'm excited. I'm not hyped about Delta. I'm excited. Yes, they have officially said, by the way, it is pronounced Delta. It's in like the way Delta is used in mathematics for change over time. Which makes me once again think that at least some of these kids have the right idea for how to work on a Metal Gear game. They've already found a way to make the weird fucking subtitle work. But it's officially Delta. Some people have said like triangle or whatever. I'm excited. I'm not hype, but it's cool. I'm just really glad we can finally get over the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake rumors, right?
Oh yeah, now people won't be saying it like every single fucking time.
Mm-hmm. No, people will yell about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth every time. Which again, I would like to reiterate, because actually, what immediately came after first trailer after Metal Gear Solid Delta was, what's this game called? Towers of Agasaba, which very much looks like a Breath of the Wild inspired game. You have a literal paraglider, but you also get to build buildings and swim underwater.
I wasn't too fan of the art direction. Something about
the art style is a little specific. Maybe it'll look better in later trailers, but they got like sky whales. Got some stuff with masks and building.
I like sky whales.
It could be cool. I'll keep my eye on it. It kind of gives me like, kind of weird like Shadow of the Colossus vibes, right?
I was actually gonna specifically say Last Guardian.
Yeah, Last Guardian 2. I never got around to actually playing Last Guardian. I probably should at some point, but
I watched
for me the touchstones. Shadows.
That's good enough for me.
Maybe I'll watch Jack do it. Jack's okay. I've watched a few of his series. He's got some good vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but the one after that was the Final Fantasy 16 trailer. So like I said, I have jokingly said, because I like this joke, I am Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth's strongest soldier. Like, I don't know how many people are more excited for that game than I am. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are at the same level of excitement, but I'm super into this thing. I am like literally watching a giant Let's Play series of 7 remake again because I'm like, man, I want to get those vibes back. I want to put myself on track. But marketing wise, like they gave us a teaser trailer. When was that trailer actually released? Let me double check. When was that actual trailer? First look trailer was about a year ago. June last year. So that was them doing the big Summer Games Fest, I think, like, hey, we've got the juice, That was also the same time I believe they got a concrete release date trailer on, like, Crisis Core Reunion, right? Like, they had a big multimedia push to let you know. So, yes, it's been almost a year since we had our last trailer. We've had no updates. But
I'm gonna be real.
Like,
I'm never gonna wear this fucking soldier armor.
if you already, I mean, if you go it all the way maxed out, I'm sure it's better than the Hylian set. But if you already got a good Hylian set, yeah, you don't really need it.
If I regret this, I'll just, go farm rupees and buy it back from CC.
Yep.
God, can I?
But yeah, so like,
sorry, I'm just
marketing wise, I understand people are jonesing for another Rebirth trailer. I would love a reconfirmation of the release window or a hard and fast release date. But Final Fantasy 16 isn't out yet, guys. It's still gonna be about just a little under a month, before it comes out. And we know they're still holding back stuff on us. I really don't think they need more trailers. This last trailer, I think the Salvation trailer definitely kind of puts us in a mood because it's like very explicitly being like, yes, there is violence and darkness. We're going to have to punch crystals. Crystals bad? Question mark? I don't know if that's ever been explicitly said in a trailer before. But if it was, I kind of lost it because Final Fantasy 16 does have a lot of trailers. I don't think we need more story trailers at this point. The little gameplay clips they've been showing are cool, but we can relax a little on the story stuff, guys. We get it, but Square likes big marketing, and 16 isn't out of the gate yet. And if I was them, this is going to be such a big deal for them, and obviously for like the production team, I wouldn't want to suck any life out of their sales, right?
Right.
Like there are people who just categorically don't pre-order games. I'm usually one of those people, but there are a few things there. Yeah, sometimes the crystals are okay.
I mean, no.
In Final Fantasy 1, I'm pretty sure the crystals are the sign that you guys are the Warrior of Light.
Yeah, no, like even thinking 14, you get crystals, as the Warrior of Light. Listen, crystals are neither bad nor good. They are a neutral force in the world. It is those who use them that determine it.
And listen, in 14, aetherites are pretty important. That's your fast travel points.
Yeah, no, so no, crystals are not bad. Crystals are neutral. People who use crystals are good or bad.
Now, what they seem to be going for in 16, the mother crystals being like a scary plot thing. Honestly, with the way 12 is, that's not that surprising. 12, they don't call them crystals; they call them stones in that one. But like that, the crystals as an allegory for weapons of mass destruction is a pretty big deal in 12. This doesn't seem to be going that same way because the specific thing seems to be that we seem to be building these giant cities around these giant crystals, which are sources of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I haven't played that many of them. I mean, like, in 7, materia is just kind of, again, neutral. It's a thing you want. Let's see. I never really got into 8, so I don't remember if there's any crystalline stuff there. I'm pretty sure there are some bad juju crystals. In some of the early Final Fantasies, you do got to switch up your formulas. But anyway, like, 16 has a lot of trailers. They got a lot of marketing going for it. But if I was Square, I wouldn't want to suck out any juice from my current release to feed my next release, because there will be times when you will have free marketing, right? Like, once 16 comes out, there's no need to hold back on the 7 Rebirth marketing, right? Like, I'm pretty sure they got a free release. I don't know about it, like, let's see. I think the only other thing they could have that would be like a big touchstone project is a potential, HD remaster or functional remake of 9 that people have been rumoring about, right?
Right.
Like, 8's already got a remastered version. I don't think they've actually discussed if they're planning on any sort of, remake of that game anytime soon. Definitely not in the same way that Final Fantasy 7 got a remake. It's, so their marketing will be pretty free an open season. I think because that'll be about the 1-year mark, I would look for another light teaser trailer with a reconfirmation of the release window, possibly even a month. They just said winter last time. At Summer Games Fest, because Square will be there. And people are also starved for that, but it's the same thing for like Kingdom Hearts 4. We got one teaser trailer about that that's like a year old that we haven't had any follow-up on, But also, like I said, that's another action RPG series. That's really one I wouldn't necessarily want to like put side by side with 16, because while I think 16 has a lot of pedigree, I'm very interested in those creators. Those games known for being standalone, so that still doesn't have the quite the same suck as like a sequel, right? Like a sequel has invested audience who are if you are marketing that sequel to them, they're going to be all about that, and they're going to be like, I want to hear about 16. I want to hear about Rebirth. We saw it already when you got no news about Rebirth. People are upset. Can't please everyone. And this is similarly why we've talked about this extensively too, but you have discussed, and I have come to agree with you as I've played more 14, that like we are coming up on the time where the way their release and development time works, there should start be seeing teases for the next 14 expansion, because it has been a while since Endwalker, y'all. That's over a year since that came out. But they have not pulled the trigger on that yet. Now, part of that is because they've had an elongated dev cycle because of the pandemic and because several of the high-level staff members, including the producer Naoki Yoshida, Yoshi P, was working on 16. But also, I suspect that a lot of the people who may be hyped for 16 will be following it because they're big fans of Yoshi P. And you don't want to necessarily be like, by the way, Yoshi P's other thing has a thing coming. So I am certain that like they are holding their teasers for that until the July Fan Fest for 14, because that will be cleanly after 16 comes out. And they have actually been pretty upfront that there's going to be no day one patch and there's no planned DLC for 16. That's not to say that there might not be DLC eventually, but like they don't have any plans to release that with any like supplemental DLC. What you see is what you're going to get. So that means that there's not going to need to be a lot of post-release marketing, right? Like you'll get release day trailers and ad cycle, you'll get your reviews, but they won't need any big follow-up marketing other than just, hey, this game is great. So I suspect we're going to get a 14 announcement in July, and like I said, you might see a reconfirmation of Rebirth at Summer Games Fest. I can tell you like with assurance, you should see more info about Rebirth at Tokyo Game Show. I know that's not until September, but that is usually a big marker for Square, and that seems like that is definitely a good time for there to be like a big marketing push for Rebirth to start. So we'll see if it do be like that. If you don't see it at Tokyo Game Show, that's when we start worrying. But I think you will, because like they already announced it and stuff, so like they'll get it out there. These puzzles I love.
Oh, yeah.
Love the shit as a kid.
Oh, wait. No, I'm dumb. It's gotta be this way. Then this way. There we go. Wait, no. I'm wrong again.
Almost. Getting closer.
Oh! Okay, there's not supposed to be something in the middle. Okay, hang on.
Oh, yeah, there's a gap there. Okay, yeah.
No.
But yeah, so like 16, super cool. Already pre-ordered. But got another trailer, show some stuff. I believe there were some people who were a little coded as like, Middle Eastern or brown looking, if you were also curious about that one, Internet. But yeah, real excited for that one. That's going to be a great time. Like I said, expect us to talk about that, as much. And probably watch Lucky on WhatsApp, wandering around the woods, punching hecties and, tonberries or whatever also. Because I'm sure there'll be a lot of bullshit there to go through. Let's see.
Lucky's looking for that Yiga. Actually, what is this fucking, just this little...
It's much closer to the shore there.
Yeah, I am fucking...
Like I said, getting those couple of foothills. What's that area called again?
Well, this is the Breath of the Wild. No, the Tears of the Kingdom. I saw something in the distance. I was like, hey, what's that?
Yeah, it'd be like that. But yeah, our next trailer is one that's very exciting for us. Got some real ass trailer for Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, showing some very high def stuff, multiple player characters, because it looks like you can play as this one FBI agent looking into the death of Agent Nightingale from the first game, but also got some regular Alan Wake in there with some other fucking cerebral dream nightmare bullshit.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Yeah. And that's got a date. That's coming out October 17th. I believe currently it is digital only. But the Embracer Group has offered to publish it physically, so we might get a physical release, possibly in a limited format.
Activision might be reaching out for the physical.
I definitely saw a tweet about Embracer, but I could see Activision also. Like, it's the kind of thing that's like, I could see them trying to go for a little skidoo there. Then we got a speaking of games that are definitely coming out on multiple platforms. There was a trailer for Assassin's Creed Mirage. This trailer is definitely trying to make you think this is a return to form for Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah.
Which is good because like that's what Ubisoft needs. Ubisoft is apparently in a lot of like they're in trouble right now. Like they're struggling with game releases and like over releasing, and also they have a lot of problems with like trying to modernize their corporate culture, but also resist a hostile takeover. That they've been doing for a couple of years there. So like Mirage is definitely going to the like, yeah, no, we're going back to Assassin's Creed basics here, which is probably good for them. I know a lot of people have been like, on the one hand, like the more weird RPG focused elements of like Odyssey sound interesting to me as my kind of gamer, but I have also been hearing a lot of people complain about the direction they have been going with some of their more recent titles like Odyssey and especially like Valhalla. So it's kind of funny that I think Mirage started as DLC for Valhalla, and then they were like, nah, we'll just make a game. Then we got another weird little indie game trailer, Revenant Hill. Show some ghosts, some skeletons, and a cat.
Probably some.
I know nothing about what this game is for, but the art style's nice. I think a lot of people saw Stray's success and were like, ooh, cat games. And then this is something I discussed on today's episode of Let's Talk as well, but it's important to bring up here. Next was a trailer for Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is kind of looks like their big jump to 3D. No like menus or anything shown, but looks very much like they've got them RPG bones. They got those monsters. The character designs have transferred fully to 3D and look pretty good. The art style is very recognizable. Have they said if this is gonna be are they going the full like Hoyoverse style experience? Is this still gonna be a gacha game, or
I don't know.
Are they going for more of a fixed party? Does anybody know if they've said that?
I don't know.
But I mean, like honestly, it looks neat. I might be interested in this. Because like I never got into Grand Blue on phones back in the day, but like, they've got 3D, they've got higher resolutions. Depending on how they do this could be an interesting experience to get into.
I'm hoping. I'm not. Oh hey, Denral. I don't know like exactly what it's about, but mostly what I wanted to be about is basically the main story of Grand Blue Fantasy without the excessive amount of bloat that the game has.
Yeah.
So like
not all those extra crossover.
You only have like maybe like 6 to 8 like party members, and they'll focus on the story rather than everything else around the game. That's what my personal hope is. Because I do think Grand Blue Fantasy does have a good story in it, but Grand Blue Fantasy is that infamous gacha game that collabs with any and everybody and just has weird-ass events out the wazoo.
They also have I believe they set the standard for, not entirely, because I also, from when I did briefly play it, Fire Emblem Heroes is also crazy with the seasonal events, like, all the time.
Yeah.
But I also remember Grand Blue was known for that a lot. But yeah, especially if you're right and where you were hoping, and it's more of a focused RPG experience that actually tries to communicate you like the story. I'm like, that sounds much more up my alley.
It's like that's what I'm hoping for. So because, in the trailer, I do not believe they showed any characters outside what is considered the main party. I believe.
Yeah, I think they only let me cycle through this. Yes, they've got a big group shot here, and there's like 1, 2, 5, 6, 7-ish of them, and that does include the big knight guy, Scythe. So it's probably like you said, like 8-ish.
Like they probably wouldn't like they might pull like a Xenoblade Chronicles and might have like DLC characters. Like if they give me Narmea, I am going to beat a path to that door.
And they might, because they do have some precedent for that with like the fighting game versions of this they've done.
Yes.
Versus and so on. But yeah, so it's interesting to see. It's neat, and in general, that's like I've talked about this. My vibe is that I feel like a lot of the big old school phone gotcha games realize, especially because Genshin came out and sometimes unfairly, but it still got a lot of like hype and public, show in, and is kind of a again to some vocal parts of the internet and an unfortunate fandom phenomenon. Not that I necessarily disagree. I feel like the kids playing Genshin these days are like Genshin seems like it's a lot of baby's first fandom. So there's a lot of, shipping nonsense, character design bullshit, reading too much into the story writing, complaining when your character is nerfed. Like I said, lots of baby's first fandom shit. And I understand it is a game that has, an art style. That's not a jab, by the way. Like I'm actually saying, like it has an aesthetic they're going for, and they've got characters and stuff and storylines. So yeah, there's some stuff to work at there. But like I think ever since like Genshin has really been a big focus of the greater games industry. We've talked about this, about how Genshin keeps getting fucking Game Awards noms when despite the fact that I think like plot wise Fate Grand Order is much more on the ball and has been running longer, that's never gotten a nod. Despite the fact that like technically I think it's not a first party PlayStation game, but that's technically a first party Sony studio now. Like Lasengol was bought wholly by Sony through Aniplex and spun off into their own thing, So like that's a first party game, I would argue. And I obviously lots of the spin-off games have a big history, like obviously Extra being on PSP and stuff. So like there's some pedigree there with their relationship. But yeah, like I feel like a lot of like I said, the old school phone gotcha games have realized that like even if they've got the loop on lock, they can't stay the way they are forever because the industry is going to like shift under them. So I'm seeing a lot of games making that push to 3D. Like I said, there's the footage for Relink, some new footage after a long time emerged for Girls Friendly Exilium, their kind of sequel game, which honestly I'm actually still a little excited about because like they're just taking Girls Frontline and making it XCOM, and I'm like, damn, that's great. People got a mod XCOM for that shit. So I'm like, no. And I think the latest trailer they had showed like a lot of little fiddly bit gun customization. I'm like, oh no, this seems like my thing. Like we'll see ultimately how it shakes out because I got turned off of the Girls Frontline originally because one, the game was fucking depressing. This is a problem lots of gacha games have. They're just so depressing all the time.
Yep.
And the other thing was just that, like, as events got further and further, they really, really demanded a lot of min-max out of you. Like, you needed high-level meta units and, like, really good gear comps that you understood to get into new shit. And I'm like, the actual, like, way that gameplay system worked wasn't quite engaging enough to me personally to make me want to go through all that high-level grind to catch up on that high-level story content.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a lot of interesting subsystem over the years, and I've always liked a lot of their aesthetics, and like their characters always seemed neat, character design and writing wise. So Exilium could be interesting. I'll have to see how they handle, multiple characters and shit and how that plays out. I haven't like so much as blinked at Honkai Star Rail, but apparently it is a decent turn-based RPG. So like, there's room in this space.
Okay, so let's go with this.
Let's see. Next was a Street Fighter 6 trailer. Still being on like create a character story mode type stuff.
I hope the character creator is robust.
Yeah, they showed a couple of default designs for the the world mode, but like I'm hoping to get some flexibility in there. But I mean, they understand what's up, like heavily featuring like not just the cameo design. Also, there's a little Jury cameo in there, but like explicitly showing characters like hanging out and learning with all the greats, including Chun-Li, because I'm like, y'all know where I'm gonna be. But yeah, so like that's cool. I think I'm probably gonna wait until July to pick that one up myself, because maybe a little later I will see exactly. But with Tears being where it is and like the rate I'm playing it, I don't know if I'm gonna want to grab an early June game, because I still got other stuff I can catch up on. Hell, I haven't even purchased a Jedi Survivor yet. I want to get into that at some point. Unfortunately, that game, I think, with both its early tech diff and just the general vibes, they've kind of fallen off the radar story-wise after Tears. But it still seems like a solid game. You've talked it very positively.
Oh yeah, no, I like it. I'm gonna get back to it eventually.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I've got other Stees to work on to keep an eye on. But Street Fighter seems cool. I'm actually like the fact that they constantly talk about and upsell their like story modes and like character creating mode. I'm like, no, that's how you get me into this, right? That gives me the vibes.
All right, where's your friend?
The sheer I wonder if Nintendo intended for the sheer frustration we feel when we see
Okay, this ain't that bad.
Kakarot.
Okay, this is just a down here. This is just a downhill one. This ain't a problem.
Just throw him down the mountain. Yeetus. Next was a weird, 2D side-scrolly type game. Might be a Metroidvania, might be a roguelike Ultros. It's got, once again, has an art style. That's cool. Don't know if it's my speed, but we'll see. Next was Perfect World Games. Oh, it was for that, is it I think it's a gacha style MMO, Tower of Fantasy. That's coming to PS5. Speaking of these sorts of games going 3D, I don't know nothing about nobody other than that I saw some people try it and it was kind of glitchy. But it exists. Next was another big one. Once again, I'm always astonished by like how close some of these relationships are, right? Like obviously Metal Gear Solid Delta is not exclusive, but Konami still like chose to debut it at PlayStation's thing, right? Like
Right.
I feel like they're pretty tight. Capcom usually has some big send-ups. Like that's where we got a lot of RE4 stuff was at PlayStation, first off. Obviously Street Fighter stuff is constantly being focused. But also the next trailer is Dragon's Dogma 2. No release information at all, but so far this early footage, they showed some gameplay stuff looking pretty sick. Like, obviously they showed off a couple of their classic grapplins type stuff.
Oh yeah.
Climbing on enemies and shit.
No, is he gonna get there?
Oh, did you literally just roll him down?
Oh no, we passed it. Fuck.
You gotta ratchet him back. So close. It's funny though.
Almost. If it hit the fucking Oh, he's still going.
Uh-oh.
Okay, he stopped.
I mean, Axe, the answer is if you find anything that you can be there, it's okay for you to be there. That's how this game is designed.
How was your trip, buddy?
Sometimes for it's for the weirdness. But yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 had a trailer. Looks cool. Show off their own, version of Cat Dads. Looks like they got some interesting they did actually say it's being done in the RE engine. That like all the Resident Evil remakes have been done.
Yeah, no,
and
that's
stuff.
good.
Yeah, so it looks like that's actually giving them some physics shit to work with. Like they show bridges being built, bridges being collapsed and stuff. Showed off a lot of, really cool monster designs they've got going on there. And like I said, all the same classic grappling stuff. Like there's a shot of, you hanging on the neck of a griffin in flight kind of stuff. Definitely there's some very interesting camera pans in this where I think in post they snapped in, but there's a zoom in on a fucking high five that's great.
Yeah.
Like, again, no release date information, but they're clearly working on it. They're building towards it. This looks good.
Yeah.
I never beat the original Dragon's Dogma, but I've played it. It's pretty solid.
I have. I loved it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool game. Unfortunately, Five Nights at Freddy Help Wanted 2. This franchise refuses to die. Maybe the movie will be terrible, and it can finally go away, but it won't. I don't know how this franchise hasn't hit oversaturation, because it feels like it should have, but this was the remark I made, and several people actually made in our Discord at the time the release came out. I'm like, well, people keep buying them, so we haven't hit the point where it's too much yet. We haven't Assassin's Creeded ourselves yet. But next, they did a decent block of PSVR 2, most of which looked neat, but obviously I cannot afford a PSVR 2 right now. But VR mode for RE4 Remake is pretty cool looking. Block that chainsaw in first person. I believe you made the joke, remember the basics of CQC. Because I do kind of feel like that.
You're about to attack me. Don't you lie to me. I know how you are. Let me see here.
I'm pretty sure you can see some frog statues around. They're doing a sequel to that other like early like Oculus type VR game, Arizona Sunshine 2. You know, for a VR sandbox zombie shoot 'em up, looks fun. The trailer has some personality that I like. It's VR, so you can pet the dog. Working on a VR FPS, like, you know, proper competitive game in what is this, Crossfire Sierra Squad. That's like, on the one hand, that will probably be too. Anybody playing this game will be like way too try hard for me personally, but I do like that we're actually getting into like some serious VR FPS stuff. Like that's kind of always where I've thought like that's going to be the cool part of these games. And then there's like another looking VR game, Synapse. Looks like there's some puzzling, some fucking around, some cerebral shit. I'm like, that's cool. It's gonna come out on July 4th. Beat Saber's coming to PSVR 2. They also are gonna have a Queen download pack. That's always good. More Queen music, more good.
Oh no! How could I not see this coming?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've walked. If you're in the right spot, you've walked by some frog statues. How could you have guessed? Ooh, good dodge. Got a little backslid though. But yeah, so the next trailer was probably my like second most hyped trailer. Because it's the marathon trailer. And this is the most viewed one. This has more, or at least when somebody totaled this up, the individual marathon teaser trailer had more views than even the Spider-Man footage at the end. And this was a thing that like some people were like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, when the Bungie logo showed, I was like, "Oh shit, this is Marathon." And then there's a shot later of I would say what that guy is called, but some people aren't going to know. But there's a iconic-looking red-robed gentleman with a blue gem. That's a very, very well-remembered enemy from the old Marathon games. So I was like, "Yeah, it's a fucking Marathon." Personally, I love this trailer. This trailer is great. They have some great fucking music in here. Like the way that one track hits with like the fucking like stutters and cutouts, really good. I posted it in our music channel for people who want to catch that.
All right, I found frog statues. All right.
Yeah.
Do we go this way?
I think the hint is follow the gaze of the frogs.
Looks like it's this way, so let's go this way.
But yeah, like this is a really like artistic trailer with lots of like, you know, really weird elements in it. So some people are concerned, and some people are like really unnerved by the fact that this has been billed as what is being called an extraction style shooter. The main model for that is that Escape from Tarkov game. I don't really know a lot about it, other than I've seen some very funny videos in Tarkov. But basically, the point is, the way those work is you join matches, you fight players and bots to gather loot and survive and escape. Hence why it's called like an extraction style shooter. So yeah. Some people are like really nettled that that Marathon, which is a very classic, very iconic first-person shooter, like got pedigree right up there with like Quake and Doom. So here's actually a fun fact. It's not known whether or not Marathon invented rocket jumping, but it definitely popularized it. But also, it was one of the first FPS games to feature dual wielding. Literally, the other game that did it first debuted the same day. So neither of them can claim to be the literal first game to do it, but like Marathon did a lot of stuff that was very iconic. It is also very story heavy. It is like crazy opaquely story heavy. Some of the shit they did in some of the later games, like Marathon Infinity especially, is like brain breaking shit. So obviously, you know, it should come as no surprise that it was a Bungie title. So some people are concerned that like with this focus on it being a heavy multiplayer like shooter, that, you know, we're kind of like taking a classic franchise out to die. It's Bungie though, y'all. I don't know if it's gonna be like that. Like, there are already loads of, you know, fucking all kinds of little subtle Bungie ass nods in this trailer. There are shots of things that are very plot heavy. There's little, you know, snippets of text and shit. There's number codes and QRs. There's the classic phrase from Marathon, "In the heavens they are waiting," shit like that, right? Like,
is this it? This looks like it.
there you go. You found the hole.
All right.
So like, I don't think that Bungie can produce a game that will not have some of that weird ass Bungie lore. I like to remind everybody the original Destiny, they originally wanted to make a fantasy MMO, but they were so Bungie that they were like, "Fuck it, we can't do it. We're gonna make it science fantasy instead." Like, so I don't think Bungie's gonna be able to resist doing them lore drops. Also, honestly, the market for people who are like diehard old school lore nerds for Marathon is unfortunately probably going to be a lot smaller than the market for a hip new competitive multiplayer FPS from Bungie. That said, like obviously this trailer is very early. We don't got a lot of details on it. We do know that even though Sony has entered into like an acquisition partnership with Bungie, this game is going to be multi-platform. Like it's going to be on PC and Xbox eventually. But like. Nah, that was a good trailer, man. I'm hyped for that. Like, I played Marathon as a kid. I played Pathways into Darkness, their earlier game, which was kind of a dungeon crawler shooter. I was awful at them. I've debated before because Bungie has actually released all 3 of the original Marathon games open source, like with fixes and shit. So like you can play them all for free. I've debated like trying to stream them on the channel or something. I think I would have to start with Marathon 2, though, because Marathon 1 is known for being fairly opaque and, like, hard to get into sometimes. Literally non-Euclidean. Like, if you look at the map and follow yourself around, you will realize there are spaces that don't work in like, a normal real-world geometry.
Oof.
Like, yeah, there's some shit in there. So, like, I don't know if that would actually stream. But the games are rad, and, like, they've got a lot of really cool ideas. They had like first of all, they were a game which featured a dedicated melee weapon you could always punch. Pretty solid. Had some cool designs for like some of their early weapons. That's where the 2-shot spanker rocket missiles from rocket launcher from Halo is basically from the same one that they used earlier in Marathon. Marathon had an assault rifle that had a grenade launcher alt fire. Very fun. And I've shown Lucky the technically it's for Marathon too, but Marathon has, I think, some of the sickest first-person shooter shotguns ever. In that it has you can dual wield double-barreled sawed-off lever action shotguns, which you constantly Terminator reload. So you're just bang flip, and it's like it's fucking sick. Okay, I hope that they better include that in the new game somewhere. So like. I think there's potential here, and especially if it is like they say an extraction type shooter, there's still potential for lore there. Like there could be missions for you to pick up specific tchotchkes and why they're valuable. So I'm excited for this. This is a game that I'm probably going to try, and I will probably be mildly awful at because I have to play with other people. But yeah, no, I'm interested in this. Like, I'll say this, chat. Gameplay wise. I'm pretty sure this is going to be tight. I don't know if gameplay-wise Bungie has missed. Like, Halo games are all great first-person shooters. Say what you will about, like, recent expectations with some of the story stuff and, like, ongoing stuff, and I know that a lot of people are kind of nettled because Destiny 2's PvP mode hasn't really changed much in, like, 2 or 3 years, probably because those staffers moved on to go, work on this new Marathon game. But, like, the gameplay for Destiny is still fucking tight. Like, I remember playing the early Destiny 1 and even Destiny 2, and I'm like, nah, this just feels good. Like, Bungie makes first-person shooters good. And actually, this is a great springboard. It's kind of come out because a lot of people were like, hey, where's Last of Us Factions? Where's that coming from? So it's been put on a back burner. It's been indefinitely delayed a little bit because they're taking some time to re-examine, and it's come out from like journalists and interviews and stuff. Apparently, that got pushed back because Sony didn't acquire Bungie just for Bungie to make them games, right? They acquired Bungie to tap into some of their live service knowledge because, as much as, like I said, people be complaining about where Destiny 2 be at right now. you still be playing it, right?
Mhm.
Like people are still playing Destiny 2. Destiny and Destiny 2 have like run for a lot of years, right? So Sony acquired them for their games as a service like know-how, and apparently Bungie took a look at Last of Us Factions and raised questions if it would be able to keep players invested long term. And so they're doing a little bit of return to basics. They are doing a little bit of a rework on that game, which is probably for the best, but still very interesting to hear. But yeah, that's why PlayStation Studios decided to buy Bungie, was because they wanted access not just to Bungie's games, but access to their knowledge, So
Well, we were talking about this in the games channel. When it comes to like the divide between like specifically like Microsoft and Sony, Microsoft's multiplayer scene is just scores better than what Sony can do right now.
yeah,
And so by acquiring Bungie and putting their multiplayer and FPS experience into things, I'm thinking Sony's trying to probably not take over the multiplayer scene, but at least start building a actual multiplayer community
yeah.
with
They
it.
they need a multiplayer library. Like some of that I think is due to like some of their own limitations. Like obviously, like hey, Sony, you own a decent, unique FPS IP. It's called Killzone. I really would like you to revisit it, but unfortunately, I think Guerrilla specifically is not a big enough studio to manage two games at once, or at least two full AAA games at once. And I'm pretty sure Guerrilla is slammed up trying to finish the Horizon trilogy, right?
Right.
So like there are limits to what they can do. But yeah, no, I agree. And it's really interesting that Sony ended up approaching Bungie. First of all, because Bungie entered into a long-term partnership and was temporarily owned by Activision for a little while there, but eventually managed to like buy themselves out and go splitsies and kind of stand on their own right around Destiny 2 times. So it's very interesting that they decided to go back in on an acquisition with Sony. But like I said, and like you said, Sony is not doing this just to get Bungie's games. They also want Bungie's knowledge. Because let's be real, y'all. And if you compare what people think about past Halo to modern Halo, generally people see 343 Studios, because obviously the Halo IP was produced in partnership with Xbox, and Microsoft, right? So they retained rights to the IP after Bungie kind of, went their separate way, and they created 343 to manage the IP. They haven't done a greater job with it. Halo 4, Halo 5, and Halo Infinite have been kind of hit or miss. The side games have been pretty decent. I think some people do actually like Halo Wars and stuff like that. Spartan Assault was very mid. But like that doesn't have shit on where people put, the classics. Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo ODST, Halo Reach even. Like people have turned around on Reach. Reach was very controversial when it came out. I've mentioned this before, but people like kind of really appreciate it as Bungie's last hurrah in this franchise. So it's really interesting that like Bungie went their own separate way, because I think mainly because they wanted to stop making Halo games. Like they were tired of it, and they tried to fucking end the franchise a couple of times. And Xbox was like, no, we need more killer FPSs. And so it's kind of interesting that it seems like Sony and Xbox are going to flip, like, depending on how things shake out still, obviously, with US regulators in UK. But it seems like Xbox is still on the line, on the hook to buy Activision Blizzard King, which means they'll get COD. And I suspect Sony at this point will probably agree to the licensing deal for a limited number of years if Xbox is still offering it. Because I think that they've probably started making moves, and we see it a lot in the showcase. They're making the moves, let's just say, to shore up their multiplayer, back end, like we said.
Like I've never played Splatoon, and I've never played Fortnite, but Foamstar looks interesting. It definitely looks like it can be something that can, what do I want to say? I don't want to say hook people, but interest people. And like I said,
And they've said explicitly it's a 4v4 shooter. It's just for PS5 and PS4. So like clearly Square is making that for Sony to be like their thing, right?
And like I said, they just announced Marathon, which people are gonna be into it. It's Bungie, it's an old franchise, and it's something that looks a little trippy. I think people are gonna be into it. So
Yeah. And like I said, Sony has been acquiring and negotiating, and it's very interesting to see the way Sony handles these acquisitions. Most of the time they do these acquisitions, it's after they have already contracted these studios for games. Like I think Haven was that same way. Like they were apparently on the end result of Fair Games, they were working on this Fair Games game, and then Sony was like, "Hey, this is going pretty smooth. You guys want to get acquired? You want to become a first party?" And the next trailer after there was a new Destiny expansion trailer, The Last Score. They brought Cade Six and Nathan Fillion back after he died. It's okay. I'm sure it's cool. But the next one was another studio they recently purchased, Firewalk Studios, which has a history with working on some multiplayer projects. This was again another teaser trailer that says nothing about this game, but for Concord. But it's a space game with a like 80s retro aesthetic, and I'm like, that seems cool.
So these are gonna be
in the trailer voiceover, you hear something about like approaching contract site, rear turrets be ready, and I'm like, if this is some kind of like multiplayer space flight game, ooh, that would be real cool. But it's still early, coming 2024 to PC and PS4. Yeah, I don't. Again, I'm sure because it is Bungie, they're gonna include lore stuff. I can't wait to see Mandalore Gaming like melt his brain because he already went the 9 yards. If you're interested in summary of Marathon as a franchise and don't want to pick it up and play it, like I said, Mandalore Gaming did a complete review and retrospective on Pathways into Darkness, Marathon 1, 2, and 3, like Bungie's old school games. Check those out sometime. That should get you to grips on the story and like put you in the right frame of mind, and also talk a lot about the gameplay pedigree as well. But yeah, so this like I said, this Concord trailer, it's very early teaser, but it has the right aesthetics to appeal to me. We'll see. I'm hoping it's cool. I would love some more space games. I know people make jokes about space games, but like, fuck, man, I want space games. They showed a trailer for the Gran Turismo movie. That's all right. I think the movie's... I mean, as far as video game movies go, I think the movie is going in the right direction. They're not trying to, like, be too weird or colorful with it. It's based on a real-life contest where Gran Turismo drivers get to drive actual race cars, There's probably a decent enough plot. It looks like they got a lot of cool car stunts, Technically, the most replayed part of the showcase is when they announced some new accessories. So they this was rumored, but they've officially announced what they are internally calling Project Q. They have invented the Wii U gamepad for PS5. It is going to be a dedicated PS5 controller that features an 8-inch screen in the middle, so you can stream your games mobily. Personally, the way my gaming setup works, I don't know if this is for me, but it's a neat looking feature.
I don't know. Why not? Like, you always constantly talk about how you play your Switch in bed. Like,
I mean, I do, but like, I don't. I mean, I play my PS5 in bed too. It's like my room's not that big. I could see maybe undocking it, but usually I play my Switch undocked like that away from my TV so I can multitask on my TV. If my PS5 is completely busy streaming the game, I don't know if I've got the benefits from that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would probably get more mileage out of something like a Steam Deck where I can like get PC stuff while I'm away from not sitting at my PC, So I don't know. Depending on the price point, I might be interested in it and like what your PS5 is doing, but mostly like I would be interested in the multitasking potential there, but I don't actually know if this helps me in particular multitask further. So we'll see. We'll see with the features. It's still early. They're just like, they don't even have a proper name for this yet, right? So I will have to see how it actually shakes out. Like I said, I don't know if it's a product from... It's definitely not a product.
If I don't move, can it not find me?
Oh, I'm a little laggy behind. Talking about Moduga? I don't think so. They're like sound and vibration based, so...
Yeah, no, I've just stand right here, and he's just running around like doop-a-doop. I'm trying to remember how to fight these things. I remember you use bombs, but...
Like I said, I mentioned this earlier, but my strategy is they still respond to like sound from anything. Just grab something you have a shitload of. I used flint. Throw it on the ground. They will like emerge to eat it, and when they emerge, you can hit them with like bomb arrows or something else to stun them, and then schwack them.
Oh, you must have found something over there, buddy.
Because otherwise they don't really. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he flops out if you just hang around near him a lot. But
Yeah, no, he sees me now. Okay, now he's coming. Yep.
But yeah. They also showed off. They're making official PS5 Bluetooth earbuds.
I do want those just because I just want to be a Sony fanboy.
I mean, they look like nice earbuds. You know, they got a little cool carrying case. They're designed to sync directly with your PS5. I actually don't have specific. I do have Bluetooth headset, but I use that, you know, with my
Oh, I
my
love
phone
how the music's
usually.
on wild. Thank you.
I also have I have a Bluetooth. I did acquire a Bluetooth speaker for my PC, which I use occasionally as well. So like, I wouldn't. I usually use the headphone jack if I'm like I need to like pipe audio directly into my ears, depending on the price point,
Woo!
because Bluetooth headphones can be a little pricey. Woo, 6-pin. But I could see me picking those up as well because they look nice and they would,
that was
you
my
know, go well.
fucking heat buff. This is the thing I hate right here. This armor set only works if you're in a hot zone. It gives you no hot defense.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, but like you could have made that like
I love it. You glow
the set
when
bonus.
it's active. You glow. I'm like, look at my horns.
You
They're-
glow. You get little rings of fire when you do attacks.
Yeah, so I'm just like, "Urgh."
It's a cool concept, but it could use a little more polish. And then after that, the thing rounded out with a very long. Let me actually see. Where's this footage start exactly? Okay, it starts at 58 minutes and goes for so it's literally 15 minutes of Spider-Man. They start with like a very high level tease for Kraven the Hunter, which was, you know, a little confusing at first, but people kind of got back into.
Listen, I thought it was a new Turok for a second.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It took me a second to recognize it as Kraven, even though I think they've shown him off before. But
Well, no,
they
like,
eventually
when they
do
were
like
just showing the single dude, that was like that. But when they showed Kraven, I was like, oh no, that's fucking Kraven.
yeah. But yeah, there's a little build up before he appears, so it's weird. And anybody who didn't get it will get it when they show the fucking iPad and like, my commander went on a new hunting ground, New York City, the urban jungle. Look at all the Spider-Men you can fight. And you think, oh, that's just going to be the tease? No. Keeps going. 6 months later, shows off some new areas of the game. They take you to Queens, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the big hitter, something I did not think we were expecting, even though we knew Venom was going to be in this, but no, we're getting the whole Venom arc. Symbiote Spidey's in this, you know, black suit.
I think they're gonna make this a focus because they have a lot of mechanics with it.
Yeah, no, you can do a lot of interesting combo moves specifically with it. And obviously, you get to see Angie Pete.
Savage Pete.
And like, I know they've done the Venom cycle so much, but also it's so iconic to Spider-Man, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, like when you think Spider-Man, you can think a lot of the classic villains, but most people will probably go to. Oh, what's this? We'll probably.
It's
think,
basically the
like,
Sinister Six, which is all the mostly the animal themed guys, but also, you know, Mysterio's in there. Or it's Venom.
It's Venom, yeah. Like Rhino, Scorpion, Vulture, Doc Ock, you know, those,
Yeah.
but always Venom.
But yeah, so we've got the whole. It looks like we're doing the whole Venom saga. Somebody was watching this and reacting to this trailer, and they were like looking at like the relationship between Miles and Spidey. Was like, oh, we're gonna have to fight Pete at some point.
Oh,
and
definitely.
I'm like, yeah, probably. But yeah, like they've got a lot of cool combos, more vicious attacks. Like, once again, like I know Spidey doesn't necessarily kill people, but like some of these motherfuckers are dead. Like, you can do some brutal takedowns in this, but they also they do a little bit of a build-up. They're like, oh, they're hunting. They say they're hunting the lizard, but Spidey name drops Doc Connors, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they expand on this in the gameplay, explicitly saying that, like, we brought up the fact that this is, you know, post Spider-Man 1, so they brought up the fact that, you know, Harry Osborn is very bad off. He's dying, and they need Doc Connors' help, but he's lizardified himself, so we got to find him. There's no co-op, which is sad. They confirmed that earlier. It'd be really cool if there was two-man co-op, but it does kind of seem like maybe the game is not designed for heavy influence of two Spider-Men all the time. It sounds more like you're gonna split your attention between Miles and Peter. But you know, press square to Miles. They showed off some stealth shit. You can create your own web, so you don't have to rely on environment to walk over people. You can, you know, set up as well. double takedowns and shit. You know, get your stealth back. Showed off some of Miles' new moveset with more shocky. Literally does like a fucking Kamehameha blast with lightning. Pretty cool. Lots of, you know, really slick textures, really good atmosphere. Looks great.
Oh, sweet. They actually gave me fans. Yeah, no, this is everything I'm going to need.
Both of them show off gliding, new glide suit technology, some really cool UI elements, and like I said, like this is a really long, you know, we joke about this being like Sony's version of E3, but like this Spider-Man footage is like a classic E3 demo, right? Like it is a big vertical slice. Like they show off this whole chase, you know, showdown with a gunship, get some underwater shit. We actually get to see Lizard. He looking pretty good. He's pretty big. He's a big boy. But it still kind of ends, you know, on an open angle of like, you know, Pete says he's gonna go get him himself, and there's this, you know, weird moment where he's like, "Are you sure?" Miles is like, "Are you sure about that? He's got pretty big teeth." And Peter Parker, Spider-Man, says, unironically, "So do I." They're like, "Okay, calm down, Pete."
And then it's just all like, is he normally like this? No.
No, he is never like this. Which, like, that's an element that I don't know if they've done before, right? Like, I don't know if they've done the Miles and Pete team up and also done a Venom saga.
Well, no, because usually Miles and Pete do not exist in the same universe.
Yeah, that's kind of like, that seems like that's going to be Insomniac Spider-Man, like, interesting twist.
Like, usually,
two Spideys.
Like, Spider-Man has died, and, you know, he's, like, Miles is taking up the mantle. So, no, like, this is why, like, this is why when it was such a big thing in the first Spider-Man with, when you get those little moments as Miles. So it's like, no, it's exciting. All right.
Yeah, seems neat. And like I said, we're building up to, you know, there's gonna be a Venom in there. They're probably gonna do like a whole thing with like Eddie Brock the whole time.
All right, this is a bad place just to not be. So you know what? We will find out where your fucking friend is. Let's just use this to go back. All right, where is your friend?
Yeah, they play that a little differently in
Oh, that's
in the Insomniac game. Miles has a different inciting incident.
Yeah.
Still a really good moment. Like, that's when I think about the Insomniac Spider-Man game, because I played the you know, PS5 remastered version. Like that's one of the sequences I think about, is basically like the terrorist attack that Miles is a part of that like galvanizes him to eventually become a Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, also just that what that game does with your slow burn relationship building with Doc Ock. Like, that's one of those moments where you go, oh. And like I said, I feel like this game is gonna do that with Eddie, probably. Like, even if it's just, you know, he's a fucking asshole to you the whole time, like it's still gonna be a thing where you're gonna build on this. But yeah, so you know, they're showing us some classic Spidey U's. Got Craven, got Lizard. We know Venom's coming. I think they showed Wraith, who hasn't been mentioned before in one there. They did have some returning nods, like I think Taskmaster was shown in there. Black Cat was obviously shown. So like, looks cool, very solid. Little sad, no new news on Wolverine, but Spider-Man 2 is coming out very recently. I believe at the end of this they say, the logo, fall 2023. Yeah, so still open-ended. Like I said, I suspect they're gonna try and make September work. But that was the end of the showcase. They had their sizzle reel, and it's like I said, pretty solid. Some of these games are cool.
Oh, yeah, no, this is definitely the way to the Yiga. Let's drop off your buddy, though.
Oh, is it going to be Harry? I don't know if they've specified that. That might work as well. That'd be even more tragic.
I mean, I think it makes sense. Like, hey, behold, there's this symbiote thing that can, you know, fucking heal.
Yeah. Or, like, it gets in the way of Pete saving Harry's life, like the symbiote, like, trying to push him, and that's the final straw that breaks, but that means that Harry's, like, right there. We'll see. That could be good. But yeah, we'll see how it shakes. And that's another thing that, like, that's also, they've done that, you know, there are there have been different. Was he actually covered in the symbiote goo? He might be. Maybe that's where Pete gets it.
Well, yeah, no. I don't know if it's like a secret ending, but no, you find out what's up with Harry at in the after credit scene. I think.
Yeah, I remember it, and I think I remember it being that. Now that people say that, I think I do remember it being the symbiote goo. But that makes me think that because Pete didn't actually know that's what that's what's up with Harry. So
Son of a bitch.
R.I.P. my fan boat. So that probably makes sense of where Pete's gonna get the symbiote suit. So I don't know if that means it'll be attached to Harry or not. We'll see, I guess. That is a thing that the comics have done before. There have been different hosts for Venom. I don't know if it's still ongoing, but for a while there was a Agent Venom, where I think it was Flash Thompson, who was injured in the Middle East, so he's normally wheelchair bound, but they managed to figure out a way to equip him with the Venom symbiote so he can do superhero stuff. So they've done some different Venom-y things before. We'll be seeing how they handle it and seeing what other guys in the Rogues Gallery they bust out. Spider-Man's got some fun ones. Spidey in general, just such a great character. I believe, is it still? Well, it's in our journal, but I don't know how accessible it is.
Oh, the thread of just best Spider-Man jokes?
Yeah.
I think my favorite one is Spider-Man at the jail cell trying to interrogate him, just throwing web balls and saying, "Cats will sing from Cats! Hit it!" And Cats start singing. It's just like... Oh.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. Boss Hunter, you are like 5 to 10 seconds behind me at all points, so by the time you have typed something responded, it is already too late. I do not know why you persist in these things.
That's why he said never mind, but yeah, no, it's way too late.
Just gonna have to hoof it through my sand. This is some Death Mountain shit of just random faulting fucking boulders here. What the fuck? Frog. Who's dropping these boulders?
Yeah, this is a great one. So I'm just going through that thread. There's a shot where, this was set during the period where I think at the end where Doc Ock was Spider-Man for a while. People were very concerned, I guess, but he gets back. So it's Green Goblin, talking trash about Otto Octavius and so on and that. And then Spider-Man, he says, "You'll have nothing left." And then Spider-Man says, "Except for the dignity of knowing I never carried a man purse." And then Green Goblin is just like, "It's you." Only the real Spider-Man could do bants like this. So yeah,
I'm tempted just to fight this person just so they stop standing here. Yeah, sure, why not? Let me just change in front of them. Uh-huh. Hey, you got a fucking lantern on your backpack. Why can't I have one?
Yeah, I know. It's fucking bullshit. NPCs get lights.
Oh, I did that too late.
This is a great one. Sorry, I'm just going through the thread. Spider-Man, he encounters Punishment. He's like, it's the Punisher, and he's brought a friend who's a girl. Don't say it. Don't say it. He's going to be real mad. So I see you started dating again. Stupid mouth.
Oh, no. All right, back up. All right, back to the Yiga. No, I am very excited. I need to actually at some point sit down and play Miles Morales.
Yeah, so I bought that one for the the PS5 remaster code for the base one. I still haven't played Miles Morales either. But again, maybe when they got a release date in the build up, we can get in there.
Well, it might be good to pick it up like before release, so I won't go in with fucking cold hands. Oh hey, there's a thing
Yeah.
here. Cool.
Feel the vibes. Probably get a feel for some of the subsystems you can do for Miles, because I remember that game added like some more stealthy segments and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Actually, honestly, I should probably just pick up Spider-Man because I don't think I did all the DLC either. Does the digital version have all the DLC? I don't remember.
Yes, I believe the remaster version they did for PS5 does have all your DLC stuff added. I don't remember if I did it all either, but I should go back and check.
Tumbleweed.
Very solid game. Had a lot of fun.
Hello. I am Tumbleweed.
Yeah, I don't think I did all Taskmaster shit.
I'm pretty sure I
Some of
did.
that stuff's a
I'm
little
pretty sure
annoying.
I platinumed the base game, but...
But yeah, it's a very solid game, and that's where they end. So, like, there's... like I said, I think it was a perfectly fine. Did it, blow my socks off? No, but it wasn't the worst either. Like, I understand that I'm very excited for them too. I understand there are more exciting games out there, and there are studios you want to hear from. We want to hear what Sucker Punch is doing. We'd love to actually see some shit from Naughty Dog and stuff, but it's just kind of the way the releases shake out.
Hello.
Hello, I am definitely Yiga. Ask no questions.
I like how my fucking little top bun is just my hair. It's just like, oh.
Yeah.
I find that hilarious.
You'll find at least one guy who'll comment on it later.
Oh, you can just
Yeah,
buy
they got some
the
merchants.
weapons? What?
Yeah.
Why don't we have this in other places? Oh, what's this? Oh, yo. I'm spike shopping. Alright. Actually... Let's see what happens if I attach it to my shield. Now I have a spike shield. Nice. I'm for it.
Well, you got to find their hideouts. Like you did one of them on stream, and we've mentioned where the others are. Keep your eye out for frog statues.
A duplex bow. Okay. And arrows. Oh, these are
kind
pricey. Oh, wait, they're 10. That might be a good
Yeah, it's
deal.
bundles of 10 and a duplex bow. Like a lot of other stuff, this side quest is technically non-linear, because you can start it at any point. The main thing is just you don't get it as a side quest until you decide to come here and talk to that guy.
Yep, no, but there's something back there, but I don't know how they'll feel about me fired to their fucking base immediately.
Yeah, there's another exit to this area. Yes, did you not kill them when they attack you? Did you, like, run away from that? No, you murder them and you can go inside their house. That poor guy. But yes, let's see. We're going for about 3.5 hours. We got most of my things off. Oh.
I think we got most.
I had some extra snacking, so I did not eat before we got started, so I'm a little hungry. I should say I did not eat a meal.
Let's see here. Oh, there's just a chest here. I don't need it. It's nice, but I don't need it. I'll leave it. I guess the only really thing is well, I guess I got red market thoughts, but I don't know if they're necessarily we need to waste more time on them. I've been talking about them in our secret tabletop just in general. So
Yep, we've got some back and forth. You'll probably hear some of that discussion when we actually play the game, hopefully tomorrow.
mm-hmm.
We're trying to work out our best curve.
Yeah.
It is kind of interesting, just in general, to talk about like the awareness that this, the author of this game is working through a revision thing is like, yeah, no, now that I'm actually like playing it, sitting down and actually playing it with people, I'm like, I feel that a little bit. Because like there are some areas of the game that are a little rough, and I think they're known to be rough. Like we've most recently been talking about negotiation stuff. Because like it's an interesting system. Sorry. It's an interesting system, but it's got some, limitations and stuff, and that are kind of, how should we say, like, listen, the game does a very good job of simulating, economic concerns and stuff, but also that sometimes affects just the core funness of playing. The current first edition of the game is designed for you to have a negotiator, and I like the fixer rule doesn't force a player to take that role, but at the rate like you guys are going, like and what you want to do in the game, you are like struggling with that aspect of it, and kind of having to have a character grow a role as a face, right? Because you guys have to do good on negotiation, or you're gonna start breaking shit, and the game is not actually intended to work that way, I don't think. Like, obviously, it's supposed to simulate a certain amount of, like, running in place economically and putting your relationships at risk. But that's supposed to be because you're supposed to have to make these choices between, doing your normal upkeep spending, buying new shit so you can do better, and improving yourself because, more risk equals more reward. And also working towards your character's retirement goals, which you guys, after 2 sessions, have done fucking nothing of because, like, you guys have not actually made it that heads up on profit yet.
Yeah.
So, like, I think the game is supposed to flow a little better because, like I said, most most campaigns I've heard of, playtesting and so on and so forth, the devs testing stuff and working through those things, like, well, it's not that it's rare per se. In demand, I think, is more like it's the cute buzzworded form of like, this is a one and done.
Well, also I think it means in demand is that it's not that there's a limited supply of it. It's just that everyone wants it because it's good shit. It's like
it's instantly useful. It's hard for you to like you're not going to be able to buy replacements of this thing if you use it because it's meant to be like consumable, but it is in demand consumable. You're going to use it up and get it, and people will want it. Just pay the upkeep on it once to buy it, and you don't need to keep the upkeep. But I think that's just like I said, some of that I think is just like the language phrasing of it. Anyway, like I said, most of the playtests and other demo games I've listened to people play through this, like, hit the milestone point. Sometimes people hit the milestone point way better because they've got very, very simple like character needs, right? Like, if you actually like, you didn't end up going this route, you naturally wanted a few other fun things, but if you went the like just latent melee bruiser level, you can get by with very, very little upkeep because you don't need a lot to do your job if that's your job.
Nope.
Like, you just probably a sword and some armor, and then you can work on that,
Hell, just get a fucking club.
Yeah, I think for damage cap potential, the sword is better, but yeah, like,
I think it has like,
because you got some potence, you got the executioner's edge, so you always get a +1 on it, and you can buy off wear and tear. So yeah, like, there's definitely some cool like wiggle room there that's really neat. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see where these points of like, I think you guys are not in the stride, and that is I think the point that sets it around is either the groups I have seen play this game have had like immediate access to scores, or they have had access to a face negotiator character who can actually like engage in the gameplay loop better of negotiation and again get in there. Like, honestly, your negotiation that was cut short went way better because Dallas rolled like a freak, as he often does. Whereas you guys ended up the other time doing a knockdown drag out roll with you Lucky role playing the fixer and unfortunately having your rolls be super cursed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, and it is a known factor. Like I said, I very recently listened to a little discussion podcast that the game designer Caleb Stokes did on his sub podcast of Role Playing Public Radio, where he talks about game design with some of the other hosts. So like, that's actually like an interesting thing. That like he said straight up, like, yeah, negotiation probably needs to be different. Like the people who are really enthusiastic about that are the diehards who are in like my Red Markets Discord, but the actual wider role-playing game public is not as enthused about it. And I'm like, yeah, now that I've run a few, I can see it. Like, it's a really neat idea, but also it's like, it's a whole other sub-game just to, like, make your economics work. And while I think it's nice as a fail state, I don't think players actually want to have to, like, worry about the shit, like, as a favor or whatever, right? Where you get paid based on, like, the red. But you do get a positive rep spot out of that. But, like, at no point is any player going to be happy to do that, right?
I mean, like, I think it's stressful, but it is enjoyable. But at the same time, like, it's one of those things that you realize that if one of your guys isn't, like, if you don't have the dedicated face in all your parties, you either have to rely on scores, like, you have to basically just rely on scores, which, from what I'm reading, can get a little fucky.
Yeah, there's some interesting concepts in there. I have seen score focused campaigns work, but like I said, one of the campaigns I listened to that did that was like they technically cheated because the rules as written say you should probably not start a group of takers with a vehicle.
Yeah.
They started with a truck because they were in the playtesting phase and were like, hey, we need to we're working on editing and playtesting this. We want to test the vehicle, so we'll give ourselves a truck and like work from there. So like it's interesting to see, but yeah, I've seen some groups really make scores work, and like I said, scores are the kind of thing where, like, obviously we have to roll it out, but, like, if I roll double 10s on a score, right, and you guys have, 7 haul between all y'all?
Yes, right now.
Right now, that's 20 per haul.
Yeah, no, that's bang.
Yeah. But if I roll, like, a 10 per, that's still okay, splitting, 70 bounty up between each of you. You'll live, but it won't be as much of a profit. And if I roll snake eyes, then you're just like, well, we're not doing that score.
No.
So yeah, it's interesting to get in there. So we'll see about it. I think you guys have decided to do a score. I have fun crafting the jobs. Also, yes, here it is. This is the thing that, like, this is so cool, but also so frustrating. You get the Earthwake manual. You get a permanent, like, new technique Link can do. Just do a charge attack while unequipped.
Let's find out.
Equip no weapon and do a charge, and you can just do a new thing. And I'm like, what? Why?
Oh, it's the Blade Master. That's the Earth. Okay.
Yeah, it's their charge up shockwave move, and like Link could just learn this. It's just a key item you get. I'm like, what the fuck? Why isn't the whole game like this? This is so
I
cool.
Can just keep it going. Okay. Yeah, why don't we just have more shit like this? Wild. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's fucking sick. And also, yeah, if you do the 9, you get the Thunder Helm because they stole it again.
Well, I wonder if I can give it back to Riju. I'll find out.
I don't think so. I think I tried to, like, talk to her and show it off, and she didn't react at all. But she doesn't need it to do lightning shit anymore.
Sure enough. Well, you guys can't have it.
Yeah, my thing.
But, like, with red markets, like, again, like, I do think, like, there is this very good system in it of balancing risk and reward and tempering your own greed with, what you can actually support. Like,
yeah, I actually kind of like how the nature of upkeep actually means that, like, players have to think about buying something, because even if you loot something cool, keeping it means you got to pay for it, and for some stuff that's neat. And we talked last week a lot about, like, it is kind of annoying that there's no storage system, and how we may have to, like, mock up a system for, like, what you do with storage, because once again, you literally have to pay rent, so you can like keep your level.
Yeah, so it's just like it's a very good system. And I like it. It does make it hard for you to actually like, because that's the thing is like you can only keep what you can carry because you're not leaving. Well, I take that back. If you buy in demand items or like certain single use items like hooch, THC, some armor and weapons, things that are in demand, they don't actually refresh, but they also require no upkeep. So you probably could just fucking leave them at home and be no worse to wear. But anything that has upkeep, you basically want it to be something that you carry on you at all times. And
yeah, and if I'm missing a rule somewhere that says like gear you don't take with you doesn't count for upkeep, but I don't think I'm missing it. I'm pretty sure you've scoured for this too.
I've been scouring this shit. It doesn't exist. I'm gonna be real. This wording in this rulebook is very ambiguous and weird in places. Caleb's trying to write cool into the people, but I feel like some shit it just gets skipped over. I still haven't figured out what fucking scavenging bolt and shit bit after you use them means anywhere. Like the only rule
I literally don't. Like I know characters that do that, but I don't remember what it does. We did at least I think I fixed it. I think it's just a typo in the PDF that never got updated because it's the only permanent employee of Habit on Games is Caleb Stokes. So but the bow had a thing about cumbersome, which I had to fucking dig up, and there is a description of what cumbersome is supposed to be like, which is basically like it can't fit in your backpack, so if you want to unstow it, it takes an action because you have to like have it in a special, hold somewhere. So it's not designed to quickly pack up and go with you. So a bow should be cumbersome because you cannot fit a normal hunting bow in a backpack. But yeah, it was a weird one because it's like, wait, you can buy off cumbersome, but the stat block that's in the book doesn't say cumbersome. Well, it probably should because it is indeed an item that is too big to just stash in a regular one. And there's some other stuff that's like a little too fluffy. Like I think you also pointed out, like, what's up with the quiver cap? Well, it does make your item no longer rattle around, so because it makes it so that your arrows are not making noise. But like, that was not necessarily a feature that was like spelled out in the item before,
Yeah.
I think the Veblen stuff is a little more on the point because that was made by like interested, extra parties who decided to collab on this and like farm some stuff out.
Okay. Oh, and it's just straight up lightning proof. All right. Mine.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
Cool
so
hat.
like I think Red Markets is a very good basis of a system, but I feel like I don't know. I feel I'm gonna be real. I don't mean to make this sound like a dig. I feel like the people who play tested fucking Red Markets are people who enjoy Soulsborne games.
Yeah, honestly, probably. Also, I do know some of the RPBR guys are so inclined. Like, they talk great shit about, stuff like Bloodborne or, like, Darkest Dungeon and stuff. Like,
yeah, so I feel like they're willing to just be like, yeah, it's fine. Just more suffering. Go for it. Cool. All right, so okay, so what's in here? Bananas! What's up, man?
But yeah, like it's an interesting one of like this because it has the death spiral elements and stuff. Axe, you say it's about abusing stuff, but it's not. Like every time you do an exploit, that's not intended. And I will say, actually, people who play Soulsborne games and use exploits to win, you're actually doing it wrong. Fuck you. You're supposed to grind that game and just get good. But I would also say Red Markets isn't... I mean, it's about balancing stuff, but it's about balancing stuff in, like, a very resource-drainy way. Like, everything is money. Which is actually kind of similar to like, classic actual Soulsborne games, where everything is souls.
Yep.
Like, it's just that there's no loop mechanic. It's much more, I think it's much more in common with like more proper roguelikes, like a Darkest Dungeon, or even later stuff, where like you can learn stuff through loops, but no, it's like, well, if your character goes down, you go down,
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta start over.
No, next time
Axe is just being offended because he allegedly likes Soulsborne games, but Red Markets gives him his anxiety. I think Soulsborne games also give you anxiety, Axe. You can just mitigate it by looking up online where stuff is or what exploits to beat what bosses.
All right, we're just going underground, I guess.
I mean, I would say the Darkest Dungeon thing is probably a little more close, but that, and again, I know for a fact because I have listened to these people before. The playtesters were liking those games.
Ah!
That, Axe, I think you've said the most realist thing you've ever said right there. I can't beat the economy. Very true.
All that just to get this better be fucking amazing.
No, he's got to do a lot of smashy shit.
I blew up like 8 fucking walls with bomb arrows to get a sneaky elixir? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, there's sometimes where stuff is just not worth the reward.
You know, screw this. I ain't even leaving the right man. Just fuck this place.
Well, there's a shrine here.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Alright, I guess we'll go back down.
Hidden in one of their back rooms. Like, actually, you can walk there, not you blow it up to get there. Also, yes, Ascend is fucking rad. Like, I think Marth mentioned this to us, but apparently it started as like a dev tool, like a cheat they used to get around easier, and then somebody was like, hey, we can just make this a player-facing thing, and it'll be really useful. And it is.
All right, the shrine.
Like, we've mentioned this before. Ascend, unsung hero of this.
Where is the shrine?
You gotta go, is it up and out? It's out the back, actually. And technically, I think it's under the open air, so you might be able to, like, just glide down on top of it, but it's back there somewhere. I'm trying to remember how to get there, because I felt like I just walked out of the back here and got it, but... Oh, so they did flip. My legs getting stiff. I've had a big long show here. Oh. Yeah, Red Markets is neat, but I think, like I said, listening to Caleb talk about the game design, I think he realized that like some parts of the game are a little inaccessible because it was, you know, the playtesting and early like diehards really got in on some of the systems, and it means that some parts are not as accessible to the more common gamer.
Lucky as a common gamer, I can fucking accept that.
I mean, I don't think you're the lowest common denominator.
Oh, no,
I
I'm not
said
the
before,
lowest,
you're not
but...
really you're not really into like D&D and stuff, but like there's definitely some notes here where like some of the stuff in Red Markets is more fun as a theoretical. Is that a?
Oh, there it is. That's how okay. I saw that door earlier. I was like, "Is this a door?" And it's like, "It was a door." Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I was just thinking that as you walked by it because I'm on the slight delay. I'm like, is that a door? Yeah. There you go.
Oh, hey, I remember this place. This is where I fucking punched Koga into the void.
Yeah. And hey, there's a chasm here now. Who could have guessed?
There was a chasm here before.
Yes, but it wasn't a chasm with a capital C. But yeah, and there's a shrine here.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the shrine.
But yeah, so look forward to more Red Markets talks as we, you know, actually play the game and get into it. I'm glad at least that while not the best assist, yes, like I said, Caleb was apparently playtesting an early version. There will be some recordings of it, you know, for posterity. So as soon as those start getting posted publicly, I'll probably, you know, like let people know and also get in there. If there's any rules we can like adopt if we're still playing, we can, you know, work on that as well. But for now, we'll just, you know, play base game and drift where necessary, as you do with every game. I don't think that games should require like extra homebrew and effort from the game master to function. That is a problem a lot of game designers do. But like it's definitely. I mean, I personally, I do think that the fixture being based on your group is kind of. I'm thinking about it. It's kind of like weirdly exponential because like if we were playing a game with like literally 2 people, it would be so easy for you to buff that guy.
Yeah.
Especially if you ended up with 2 low-cost characters. But because it's you guys, it's like, depending on the actual session you decide to pull the trigger, it's like, you know, 3 or 4 times the stuff from him. So it's like, yeah, you could probably find some way to simplify this, but it goes in there. It is per player. I remember this being a little awkward because of the way that Ultra Hand works with the seesaws.
Yeah, but it's mostly just a weight thing, so I just gotta get the right amount on. Booyah.
Yeah, you get that good bounce on there by extending it.
And just... Oh, that was it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is the physics thing that they spent, a year testing.
I mean, it's good. Like, even if they don't teach me, like, a new way to use a zone, I think it does, like, teach me things like this puzzle, like, yes, things, there is a fucking fulcrum effect, more weight on one thing will more...
More weight with further extension equals different balance point.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I guess rounding it to be like to have it increment every couple of players, it would be better. But like I said, we can either one of the characters will become the negotiator, or if that's untenable, we'll just figure out another thing. But we'll keep working on it. Like I said, we're
say that
playing
they
on
are
story.
willing to become the face character, and he does have the 2 charisma, which
Yeah. Axe, the moment we went through a negotiation and you guys saw how fixing worked and like thought about the cost, Axe was like, "Is it cheaper for me to just become the face?" And it might be. We're thinking on it. There's definitely like some advantages, but there's also some downsides. The game flows best when you have a player character as your dedicated negotiator who can also go in you in the field and stuff. But yeah, I do think there is some decent positive responses for whatchamacallit, the LPs, or the APs, I should say. Like not getting super high views, but still we're early on in the campaign, so getting decent. We do actually get some comments and stuff, so people seem to be enjoying them. And the beats are hitting right. Like we've already gotten positive responses about the bear attack from last time, the helicopter scene from the latest session. Like it's stuff doing goo.
Oh, this is a deep chasm. There we go.
Whee!
I love the horn that plays every time you go in. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah. Letting you know you're in a bad place.
All right.
But all right, with those red market thoughts, we can probably wrap this up.
Yep.
I just have to edit this audio, and I gotta get some snackins, get some foodins. And then probably, well, I don't know. It'll depend on how I feel after I eat. I might be a little tired to do some PvP today. It does require a certain amount of gumption to get into the.
I'll probably be jumping on the
PvPs.
14 myself. I put in several Tears of the Kingdom hours. I was kind of expecting a base. Well, I guess they do kind of have a base here. They got supplies and shit.
Yeah, I got some stuff down here. Yeah. Oh, like I said, I have to get some food, and then I'll see how I feel.
Yep.
14 is always easier with friends, even if not all actually doing the same thing. It's just more fun that way. And there's a new PvP season, so there's a lot of fun stuff to be had. But all right, let's wrap it up. Let's see. Outro. Hey, if you're watching this, give it a like. It helps. The like ratio is not always the super greatest for stuff. If you're new here, please sub for more. Keep your eyeballs out for content, streams and stuff. Oh yeah, I should mention streaming schedule wise. It was previously stated, Lucky will be doing Hollow Knight. That is still the plan, just not this Monday because you've got some plans. Real life stuff came up.
I'm sorry.
So instead, I will probably use this opportunity to get the bonus stream out of the way that you guys voted on. You voted so far still. We'll check to see it's still in the lead, but it would seem like it was pretty firmly in the lead. But Ace Combat 7 was our winner, so I've talked before about doing the DLC mission pack as a stream. Yep, still pretty decently in the lead, so that's probably where we'll leave it. So I'll probably do that Monday instead, just because that'll get that out of the way, because I was super busy doing the recap edit. As I mentioned before, that took a long ass time to edit and export. So, yeah, those memories, they do be hitting. I don't want to say they'd be hitting different. They just be hitting.
Slap. Oh, wait. Yiga mode off.
Yeah, people are going to get nettled. See, that part of the Yiga armor I like. I like actually being able to be like, I'm the. But it's definitely some some other funny stuff there. But yeah, check out that stream when it comes out Monday. Keep your eye out for another Red Markets AP. Check out our previous Red Markets AP. Came out earlier this week. Stay tuned for other future streams as well. So make sure you are subbed and make sure you have rung that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we be streaming. If you want to check out previous stream series, just wrapped up Mega Man Battle Network 1 last week. Got credits to roll on that, so you can check that one out. A decent first attempt, but kind of a clunky game.
Mm.
Slip and slide. This one's
right.
funny. I remember this one.
Well, have a good time, everyone. We'll see you next time.
See you there.